This is Jonah Hill, and you're listening to the only podcast that matters.
Before we get into this week's Opulent Fits, Lawrence, hit him with that good ad read.
Throwing Fits, the only podcast that matters, is brought to you by Seasons, a members-only rental service for designer menswear. James and I love it. We wear, we swap, we repeat. You've heard us shouting from the rooftops.
Hear my
rafters.
barbaric yawp.
You've seen us on the feed going absolutely fucking brazy. This is the new conscientious way to be the best Johns enthusiast you could be, and James and I couldn't be happier to endorse Seasons.
Lawrence, I know you see me going fucking mental with the outerwear all winter long. Big coats from Oral-Lee, Nanushka, my two new favorite brands that I've actually discovered via Seasons. I cannot wait to get my fucking spring, summer sexy on when Season starts dropping the warm weather collections.
Oh yeah, there's new Jacques Mousse, new Craig Green, new Oral-Lee, like you just said, coming out over the next month with the spring, summer 21 heat. Yo, the discovery is honestly low-key maybe the best part about Seasons. Like, I had forgotten about like Ami Paris is a perfect example, and I got this huge beautiful raglan sleeve overcoat, and now that is like a fucking grail, and I got my size, and now that's something I would have never looked for, right? And now I know. Now listen, I didn't know, but now I know.
The more you know. If you know, you know.
Exactly.
No.
Subscribe at seasons.co/throwingfits or use our promo code throwingfits. That's all lowercase, no spaces. James, how do I spell that shit?
Lowercase THRWINGFITS or all caps.
Yeah, all caps works.
Spell
really?
The pod's name.
Yeah. Use Throwing Fits at checkout for 25% off your first month. And now you can refer a friend from the Seasons iOS app, and you both get a free month. So use our promo code to sign up. Boom, free month. Refer a friend. Boom. That's back-to-back free months. That's John's Discovery. That's lit fit pics all the time. That's sleeping at night like a baby because you are, again, being a conscientious John's enthusiast. Seasons, a better way to rent, bitch.
Bro gang, we are joined by the overlord of opulence, the top dog of top tips, her regency of reviews, the empress of email, the inbox imperialist, chief of the NYPD, fuck 12, that's New York Princess Diana, the Delaware diva, the fifth Olsen sister, princess of the pen, the first lady of lavishness. She puts the row in Rococo, noted left, that's listener and friend of the pod, the Emrata of extravagance, the Sarkozy slayer, GQ staff writer, and the founder of the Opulent Tips newsletter, Rachel Tashjian.
Hi.
Are you more impressed with your intro this time versus the previous podcast endeavor that shall not be named, or do you not even remember? It was so long ago.
I don't really remember it. I just remember I was thinking about this earlier today. I was like, damn, we talked about like the shitty media men list.
Yeah.
How long ago that was?
Did you have post-traumatic stress disorder from that previous pod?
Not from the pod, from the list, sure.
From the list.
From entering the Barstool Sports offices.
Yeah, just from crossing the precipice. All I remember us talking about was like female astronauts.
What?
And yeah, that's all I remember, which is
thank God,
no one else.
Thank God we're running it back.
Yeah. Rachel, when we were talking earlier, you said that you were wearing a sick look today, and I quote, a sick look. Is this the same? Is this the sick look you're talking about, or did you change again?
It sure is.
Okay. Would you like to walk the audience at home? I'm sure they're waiting with bated breath and want me to shut the fuck up to hear your fit check. Would you like to start top down or bottom up?
Well, I guess I'll start top down.
So, you're a police officer.
Is that unusual?
More like copulent.
Yeah. Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the running
your
bit.
coworker, Narc Dad, he's a narc, so maybe he's rubbing off on you a little bit. But normally, if you go top down, that's an indicator that you're a member of the law, a police officer, brother of the blue, brother or sister of the blue. Maybe go.
Well, okay, then I guess I'll start with my shoes.
Let's go.
You already exposed yourself for being a police officer, but we appreciate you reforming.
Right. Well, I mean, what does it say?
You did ask if we were going to be on drugs. You did ask if we were going to be on drugs. That's
yeah.
If you are a police officer, you have to tell us.
No, but that was just a vibe check thing.
Okay.
It's not, I'm not a police officer. And I'll tell you what, I don't think I should follow the rules because that would be very police officer of me. So I am I'm still going to start with my hair, which is freshly bleached hair.
Do you do it yourself?
Okay.
Yeah.
Like Eminem or
at home,
stand in this bathroom sink?
No, I can't do it myself. I was told I was not allowed to do it myself.
Who told you that? Your cat lawyer?
The woman who's done my hair. Yeah, my cat lawyer. No, the woman who's done my hair for the past, I guess, 7 years at this point.
Oh, wow.
Have you done platinum blonde for 7 years?
I have, yeah.
Have you ever given any thought to what you might do next? I mean, if it's platinum blonde, you can kind of take it anywhere, right?
I think this is what it's going to be for the rest of my life.
So you're not going to be like one of those
commitment.
You're not going to be like one of those kooky Upper East Side ladies with like purple hair in their 90s?
No, I don't think so. I think if I were going to do that, I would do it now. And I actually did kind of have purple hair a few years ago. I did that kind of that wash.
So you had that phase already.
Yeah.
Do you remember that time fondly, or do you like think back and you're like, I regret it every second?
No, I feel fond about it. I actually think what I want to do is, and I think a number of women my age want to do this, is a Benjamin Button of fashion, right?
Women of a certain age.
Right. So through my 20s, I wore these like voluminous. I mean, you guys remember what I wore the last time I was on the pod, where it was like giant pants, like giant Dries Van Noten pants, I think, and like a big leather jacket and a big like fleece.
I remember that. And it's funny because
in your 90s you're going to be wearing
talked about, but
in your 90s you're going to be wearing like little baby crop tops and like tiny little skirts. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm sure everyone is going to look forward to that. But yes, okay. So you're not wearing anything on your head. So that's the thing, right? You're going top down, but if you've got nothing up top, we're good.
Well, but don't you guys feel like we're living in an era right now where the haircut is like the outfit?
I mean, I'm just trying to hold on to what I got while I still have it. You know what I'm saying? Right. I wish I thought that deep. I don't know, James, do you agree with that statement as a hair haver?
No, but that's just me.
This pod's all about dialogue, the push and the pull. Yeah. You know, so
that's just me. I can only talk about my own. I'm just going
to agree with you.
Right. Know? Well, you know, Lawrence, you could be a spokesperson for my friend Joe Bernstein's Balding Men movement.
I love that.
What's the movement? They pay well? What's their platform? What are their politics?
He's basically just on Twitter talking about like, you know, we have so much more work to do. My wife today said that like my hair looks like there's even less than there was yesterday.
Yikes. Oh, no. Is he I'm taking preventative measures. I'm doing all of it too, you know, chemical, natural, you know, some fucking mystical stuff, astrology, whatever I can do to just fucking hang on.
Would you ever just do a toupee?
No, a toupee. Like what is toupee technology like in 2021?
I've seen some fire shit on TikTok. On toupee TikTok, it's crazy.
What?
Toupee TikTok. I didn't know there was toupee TikTok.
Oh, there's everything on TikTok.
I'd rather do the spray. Like if I knew I was going to be in a big photo shoot for some, I don't know, throwing
like the Carlos Boozer spray paint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a real quick, just touch up the power alleys, as they say, just and look as slick as possible, and then just wash it out. Toupee seems like nah.
Why don't you just Gorilla Glue what you have now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've
heard that works.
Gorilla Glue it down.
Oh, I do. I'm glued up, dude. Yeah.
Glued up from the food up.
Whatever I have left over when I'm not recording podcasts on drugs. Okay, Rachel. So moving down, let's talk about this beautiful, I don't even know. Is it a dress? Is it a blouse?
Is it 7 dresses?
I've got it. Yeah, it is. It's 7 dresses. Sewn together. So I've got this really cool necklace that my grandmother was really into costume jewelry. And
what grandma isn't? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. She passed away about a year ago and she left this giant bag of costume jewelry. And it had things like this deranged sculpted gold necklace with a big gem in the middle. But I also found a replica of the heart of the ocean.
Wow. The heart of the ocean.
Yes, the heart of the ocean. I mean, this is like the greatest bag of all time.
Was your grandma a fan of Titanic specifically? That seems like an extremely specific piece of costume jewelry to own.
Was she a survivor?
Yeah, she was obsessed with Titanic, with both the movie and with just the James phenomenon Cameron. In general.
Not with
the
James Cameron.
film.
So she loved Aliens and Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Avatar 2.
Right. She had a bunch of Avatar costume jewelry, just like crazy.
The tragedy, she wasn't able to see Avatar 2. James Cameron, you fucking animal.
Damn. Well, it's very nice. And rest in peace to your grandmother. I'm sure
Thank you.
She is dearly missed by her wonderful family.
She's up there with Jack and Rose right now.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, she finally, exactly. Reunited once and for all. Harambe as well.
It's tough to see where the necklace ends and the 7 dresses begin on the little Zoom thumbnail, but it seems like the next item would be the dress or dresses, no?
Yeah. So this is, I went yesterday, Sam Hine and I went to If Boutique, which is having their famous basement sale.
Yeah.
And I found this, I found this Junya Watanabe dress, which I think is from fall 2019. And he just took a bunch of different, the whole collection was like, he took a handful of different dresses or like dress materials and sewed them together so that they look like, I'm just going to stand up for a second. It just looks like, I'm wearing like 5 or 6 different dresses, but it's actually just one.
That's crazy. Is the belt part of it as well? Or that's,
oh yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
this is ahead of the curve.
Right. So what kind of deep discount does If have right now? We could be as gauche to ask like what you paid if you want to tell us.
I paid less than a quarter of what it would have been.
Okay. And
did you get the GQ discount?
No.
Were you like, yo, I will mention If Boutique on the pod?
Which you have before, but I know you have mentioned them also in articles because they're like one of the last good, weird, real New York fashion institutions left at this point.
Yeah. I think it's the best store in New York.
Really?
Yeah.
Do the dudes at If or whoever, the men and women who own If, have they read your praise? Are they aware?
They know who I am for sure. I mean, when I went in yesterday, when I was paying for this dress, the guy was like, this has never been in while you were here. So they know, I go in enough at least that they know what's there when I've been there.
But there wasn't really no discount on top despite all the love and support that you show. Interesting.
Well, I think If Boutique is probably going through a hard time right now.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
In fact, I know that they are. So,
well, listen, to everyone listening at home, you want to fucking spend your money somewhere, support If Boutique.
Yeah. What if all of your listeners got really into Paul Harnden?
Shoemakers.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. That seems like more of a style zeitgeist crowd, right? We don't have those.
Yeah. I know, but it would just be really funny if they all got really phantom threaded out.
Well, it's funny you say that because James and I
the gang goes Woodcock.
Yeah, we're doing some House of Woodcock-esque themed stunts. You know, keep it locked.
Big things coming.
Space. Yeah,
Rachel. So, in addition to the 7 dresses,
what's on the feets?
Well, I was wearing for most of the day faux fur leopard print Margiela tabby mules.
Oh, you put them on Instagram. This was the fit on IG. Yeah. And
then I needed to be more comfortable, so I changed my gold Charbet slippers.
Oh, I think I read about someone who's a big fan of those.
You may have, indeed.
Not just a fan, but a fetishist.
Wait, can we see? Can you? Because I would just. Can you hold up? Let me clock these Warlocks real quick. Do you have? How many pairs do you own?
Just one. Just this one pair.
Those are fucking cool. Can you wear those? Is it like a Belgian thing where like you could get those, like one of those sticky Vibram soles put on and wear them outside?
Well, I know that Mary-Kate Olsen does.
Oh, that's so just straight up rich guy or rich behavior.
And Dakota Johnson does as well.
Though.
Not Ashley for some reason.
Yeah, no, she doesn't.
Who's the better twin? Who's the better dressed twin?
Depends on what you're into.
Okay.
You know, if you're into like Nicolas Gasquier, Nicolas Gasquier, then you're definitely Mary-Kate. But if you're into Yoji Yamamoto, then it's Ashley.
So for you, it's Ashley. That's easy. Yeah. That's a long-winded way of saying Ashley is the more stylish one.
Any other jewels going on?
Yeah, no socks with the Charvet, by the way. That's straight. You're raw dogging those.
Yeah, I'm raw dogging.
Because I have a problem. James and I have talked about this when it comes to like your really good like house slippers, whatever they may be. Maybe it's Birks, maybe it's Subaru's, maybe they're Charvet. I always try to wear them as long as possible with socks so they don't get extra stinky. I don't know if you have any thoughts on this matter or if you even have this problem.
I think if you're going to be at home, you shouldn't be wearing socks.
Really? At all?
Yeah.
What about if you have cold floors? I guess that's what the Charvets are for, right?
Yeah, that's what the Charvets are for.
All right. Well, fit check complete. Rachel, it's been a minute since you've been on the podcast. However, it hasn't really changed much.
Not at all.
Really. We kind of boiled the podcast essence down to three main subjects. Throwing Fits, the only podcast that matters, which are money,
ka-ching,
meats and cheeks,
sex and dating.
Most importantly, the goddamn motherfucking boys, Jimmy
That's
and Larry, ourselves. Yeah. We want to start with ourselves for approximately 2 hours, and then we'll talk about whatever you got going on. So Lawrence and I, we have a little newsletter, and it's bi-weekly every so often. It's recommendations of things that we're fucking with. Everything John's from the kind that grace your back to the kind that improve your home. But I guess the thing is, it's a little slapdash. It's a little rough around the edges. We want to make it a little more opulent. My question to you is, how do we make our newsletter, the Thursday Dumper, more opulent?
Yeah.
A link dump. So it's the Thursday Dumper.
Yeah, the Thursday Dumper.
Well, if you want it to be extremely opulent, you should not send it to anyone at all.
Really?
Really?
Exclusivity is the most opulent aspect there is?
Absolutely.
Wow. So is the most opulent thing just not writing the newsletter at all, just not doing one?
Well, I think what you could do is talk about the newsletter,
right?
Do a little promotion of the newsletter, but don't ever do it. But act like you have done it before.
Sure. So we should just stop doing it and then talk about it incessantly.
Right. Well, oh gosh. Well, the thing about last week's newsletter.
Well, we do consistently kind of punt the newsletter or think of ways to not do the newsletter so that it's not bi-weekly. Chuck is putting up a lovely recap video or not even recap video, just entire recording of our Juicy Zoomy. So we don't have to do the Thursday Dumper this week. But
it sounds like an easy fix for sure.
Let's talk about opulent tips for a quick second here. This is obviously the talk of the town, the toast of the town. Everyone is just fucking scrambling, dying to get on that very exclusive, very limited subscriber list.
Please, can I have a crumb of newsletter, Rachel?
I think there's just a one subscriber that you've allowed to get it. But you are a writer by trade, professionally speaking. Why did you start this newsletter kind of on the side?
Well, first of all, I don't really write about women's fashion anymore. So that was a thing that I had been, that was a thing that I've been thinking about. And for the most part, I don't really miss it. But I do miss talking about women's clothing and what women are buying and what they're looking at.
Okay.
So that was kind of sorry, go ahead.
So not the designers and the business and the brands, but just the actual real lifeness of it all.
Consumption and enthusiasm for women's wear.
Yeah. Yeah. And I originally had thought that I would send it to, I didn't want to launch a Substack because Substack is not,
really?
It's not chic.
Got it. It's not right. It's not chic. Got it.
Well, some of
is Patreon chic or is Patreon not chic?
I would say I really like the ways that you guys use Patreon. I like the way that Kat Marnell uses it. Mm-hmm. And I love Hunter Harris's Substack newsletter.
Right. There's exceptions to all. There's exceptions to all gauche rules.
Totally. Totally. But also whenever people start a Substack, it's some personal news, and I would never leave GQ. I have the best job in the world.
Do you think real quick before getting back to your origin story, do you think we've hit or approaching peak newsletter under the current model of everyone just being personal news? I'm leaving my job to start a newsletter.
I don't know if I think that, but I think a lot of newsletters are written in kind of the same voice. And they all kind of have the same, it's almost in the same way that and you guys don't have this, so I'm not saying don't worry, but everyone has that narrative podcast voice. Ugh. Even when they're not on a podcast. Please. In fact, once I went on a date with a guy who worked at Radiolab and he spoke like that during the date. Yeah.
He wasn't even, was he on mic host or talent?
Was it Ja or what the fucking name was?
Well, yeah, no, he had done a couple of stories. But it
just
was
by being around his proximity to that, just his whole life became bullshit.
Right.
So
And I remember at one point he was like,
he was just always
is it
on.
okay if I get mozzarella sticks? It was like that. Yeah.
Where were you eating? Did he take you to TGI Fridays?
Because that's
He
awesome.
took me to Finelli.
Oh,
Ooh.
shout out Finelli, dude. Classic.
Yeah, it was
okay.
my idea. It was my idea.
Of course.
Yeah, podcasters don't go to Finelli's.
What do I look like? I work at Radio Lab. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So in the same way that there's this, Radio Lab voice that so many podcasters have, I think like a lot of newsletters all have the same kind of style.
What do you mean? Like extra voicey, like hammed up to some degree?
I think it's hammed up, and I think it's like a lot of it feels like extend tweet, like a button that you hit on a good tweet, and you're like, this could be a lot longer.
Throw the extendo on that. Yeah.
Throw the extendo.
Open for a surprise.
Yeah.
So did you see a lane where you're like, look, like everything is kind of as this medium has exploded in popularity, it seems like it's become more mono, and there's room for my voice to kind of have a lane.
James, you're giving me way too much credit. I was like,
I'm Ali, you oop it.
Yo,
I just wanted to
know.
email my friends about Chopovalawena, honestly.
That's it.
Yeah.
Is that where, when you say natural style, that's what you mean? Literally how you would email the boys, the girls. That's just like that. That's
by natural style, I mean that it's sent manually from my Gmail account to your email account.
Are you surprised at how hard it's resonated?
Yeah, I really am.
Are you humbled? Are you like on your diva shit? Like what's going on here? What take us into your brain right now?
No, I think it's really fun. I think it's really great that one thing that I think is really cool is that people actually buy a lot of the stuff that I recommend. You
better get that affiliate merch.
You need affiliate links,
I don't want I don't want affiliate links.
Should we hit the extendo on the Seafood Tower pre-order?
Well,
want to link them to that?
Well, here's the thing that no one needs to know that the affiliate links are there. You could like not say anything and just like, whatever, make it.
We're going to get to exploiting. We're going to get to exploiting the newsletter for capitalist gains in a little bit. But I mean, Rachel, in the 9 dispatches so far, is that the right term? Dispatches? Mm-hmm. It's fancier than saying emails, right? Or issues, I guess.
Yeah. 9 natural style dispatches from your girl.
What's gotten the biggest reaction so far? Because for everyone that isn't lucky enough to be let behind the velvet rope, you have reader and friend to me questions, right? You have kind of like a larger feature and just like general pleasantness and links and recommendations. But what so far has gotten the biggest reaction?
Absolutely, the slipper fetishist.
Really?
Yeah. People really, really like her. And a lot of people started following her.
Yeah. Did he blow her up?
I don't know how many followers she got, but she just kept DMing me. Do you know Alan Del Rio? Like, do you know this woman? I have this friend whose username is Peter Luger. So she was like, do you know Peter Luger?
The Peter Luger.
Dr. Taco?
Is the popularity of the slipper fetishes, is that just a simple like sex sells thing? Or do you think there's like a bigger message to take away from the popularity of that piece of content?
Well, I think maybe it's like, I don't know, not to be like too serious about it, ironically, but like, don't you think people want like more bizarre fashion stories? Like everything is so serious now. Everything is like the industry is in crisis and like no one wants to read this anymore. No one wants to read that anymore. Like like everything's sustainable. This is made out of recycled bottles. And it's really cool to just read a story in which a woman is like, listen, I just love feet. I love tricking my entire family into like putting on men's leather slippers so that I can take their photographs
that was
illicitly.
Weirdly, that was like nefarious. Like reading that was like, yikes. But what you're saying is people want like to read about Buzz Bissinger blowing up his entire life, spending $5 million on a Gucci leather addiction versus like, here's how we can be more sustainable. Looking forward to Q1. It's like, shut the fuck up, nerd.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the only way to be more sustainable is to love your clothing as much as this woman loves men's leather slippers.
Yeah, maybe in a
so
sexual
you just keep
way.
it forever. Yeah,
sure. Okay.
I think like out of left field, not abnormal because we don't kink shame on this podcast, unless your kink is kink shaming, in which case, fuck you.
Or in which case, go off.
Yeah.
Go off, king, queen, or however you identify with the bi monarchy. at Complex and Four Pins, I feel like people with crazy obsessions always went nuclear on Chartbeat. I remember like the dude that fucked the Hot Pocket, Versace Pop-Tart.
Oh, yeah.
He ruled. Brandon Sales, that kid.
Yeah, right.
Kid fucking ruled. The dude that spent like $1 million on plastic surgery to look like Justin Bieber.
It's like outsider art, kind of, where it's like just bringing these complete outliers. Do you have more like lined up? Are you now seeking out the weirdos and the freaks so you can get those clicks?
No, I don't think so. I mean, personally, my biggest concern right now is like, why has Latifi not been signed to IMG?
Right. Okay. Sure.
Like, what's
Do you want to find her?
that?
And you want a finder's fee?
Yeah, I want a finder's fee for that.
Okay, cool.
Opulent Tips, it's a relatively short lifespan so far, but it's been a very dynamic one. How has it kind of evolved over the course of its 9 dispatch lifetime?
That's an interesting question. I mean, there are a lot. I really thought I was going to get like one question a week, but all of these people keep sending in these questions. So I write it like on Sunday morning. Like I get up and I sit in bed and I just like type it out. But now I have to do all this like market research, because at first it was a lot of stuff that I was like, obviously that's a slam dunk. But now people are like, what are the best sheets and towels?
I was going to say, you are now beholden and shackled by the popularity of this thing. Like Lawrence and I, like, we can't stop. We can't get off this fucking hamster wheel. We can't stop. Every week, 2 pods, 3 pods.
We've created a monster. You feel that way too? Like the pressure a bit?
Should we trade?
No,
please.
Okay.
No.
Are you kidding me? I would love to do a little Freaky Friday, trading places thing for a week.
I mean,
that
we
would be
could do a
great
little
crossover content. Are you kidding
me? If you wanted to do a little guest hosting with Chuckles here,
that would be great.
Sure.
And if we just took over,
and we can send whatever we want. We can just send, because there's nothing that you can do that's worse than what James and I do on a daily basis. But if you let the animals run the zoo in terms of Opulent Tips, Opulent Fits is going to might sink the whole operation. You know what I'm saying?
I bring a little of that really Thursday dumper magic.
Oh, then you would be free. Then you would be released.
Yeah, exactly. So much easier to talk than it is to type. You guys know that.
That's so fair. That's why James and I don't write anymore, really.
Yeah, that's why we always put off the Thursday dumper. Yeah. I will say this, in the timeline bubble that we all occupy, it does seem like there is crossover of audience between Throwing Fits and Opulent Tips. I see a lot of dudes that are fans of ours also engaging with you on whatever was in the newest dispatch, begging to be let onto the list. Like a not insignificant portion of your audience does seem to be men. Am I wrong?
Young Jones enthusiasts. Yeah.
And why is that?
Because I work at a men's magazine, probably, right?
I thought you were going to say, because I'm the shit. That would have been, you should have flexed a bit.
Do you think
why does it, if I were the shit, wouldn't it be all women?
Well, okay. Do you find that
the shit is, that's a that's a compliment. Not that you're shit, that you are the shit.
No, I'm saying like, if I were the best, then wouldn't all of my fans be women instead of men?
No, but I think the crossover appeal is actually
about fan quality.
Oh, right. All men are trash. All men are trash. That is true.
Okay.
All men are trash. But
that was the name of the last episode. It was All Men Are Garbage.
Right, because you worked at Garbage Magazine. All right.
Right.
I got
you called me Rachel Trash Can of Garbage. That was so funny. Yes. That was funnier. That was funnier than what you guys
Trash Can Gian DeLeon. Well, we've evolved. I don't know if
so you want us to be mean to you? We were like trying to be like, all right, we're gonna have Rachel on. We're gonna be respectful this time. We're not gonna make fun of women astronauts or again whatever was talked about. Can't remember, but okay. We could be
Rachel,
mean.
Why do you think men in 2021 are maybe seeking out a little more opulence in their lives?
Well, I think everyone is seeking out more opulence in their lives, but also it's like we have all this time to think about everything now because there's nothing else to do. So it's like you look at like your comb and you're like, why isn't this Hermes?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're looking at your plate and you're like, why is this plate so like a white plate from IKEA?
Pedestrian.
Yeah.
Civilian.
Why is my plate so pedestrian?
Yeah.
So it's that we're kind of trapped and that we're looking at our immediate surroundings and we're like, we need to fucking upgrade to 2.0? Or is it that the last year was such garbage? It's like, yo, treat yourself time.
Well, and I think it goes back before that though, right? Because everything was so minimalist.
Minimalism is corny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Minimalism is totally corny. It's nihilist. It's boring and bad. And
I think of Kanye West's Home.
Oh, I think that's really cool, but I don't know if that's minimalist.
Really? There's like
something
literally
else going
no
on there.
furniture or like children. They have like 6 kids and there's like no toys.
Isn't his shit
Yeah.
brutal? Isn't his shit brutalist? Like
It's
with all the
brutalist.
Rick bed and shit, which I guess is
Yeah.
a different type of boring, maybe. But
I don't think it's boring. I think it's really intense.
oh,
His shit.
well, it is
Yeah.
chic. I think it is chic. I guess it is intense too, to some degree. I mean,
Mhm.
for all we know, maybe that tore apart their marriage. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
to
I know. But
asunder.
do you remember the tour of their pantry that Kim Kardashian did?
Where it's like all candy and all snacks.
Yeah. She was like, this is the snack pantry. Like, this is the candy pantry. That was really amazing.
Did you know they don't even have a hot tub?
I didn't know that.
That's my Kanye West making fun of Kim Kardashian impression.
Oh,
That was well, I mean, now that you said it, I mean, yeah, okay. That plays, I guess, kind of. Again, this is why we need you to do our podcast and we can do your newsletter because we're just
Yeah.
we're running.
well,
running
my
out of gas
Kanye
here.
West impression is amazing.
Can we
Let's
hear
hear
it
it.
real quick?
Let's do it.
No, I that was a joke.
Do you see this coat? That's all I got. That's a Vine. You might have seen
I got bleach on my asshole.
yeah, that was good.
All right, I want to
Oh,
talk about.
actually, the one I was thinking about earlier today is when I don't remember what song this is, but when he was like, my spouse has another spouse, my house is another house. And I was like, my dress is another dress.
Oh,
My room's got rooms. Jeezy, those are closets.
yeah. My shirts got shirts. This is kind of a little bit like a Needle 7 cut but doesn't Needles make 7 cut like flannel dresses too?
Yeah.
women?
they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And like weird paisley. They have a lot of weird,
Right.
like paisley kind of Fleetwood Mac women's stuff.
like Stevie Nicks kind of mystic
Yeah.
gypsy type beat. Okay, cool.
Rachel, I wanted so let's talk about how kind of like how last year and the garbageness of 2020 is really informing 2021. You know, not only was 2020 garbage, but you know, there were some good things, and I think that part of that was like this notion of tearing down these barriers that had been erected for generations, destroying like the old guard and the gatekeepers, which is like, and this isn't accusatory at all, but I'm just wondering how that kind of plays into like the fact that your newsletter is invite only and like exclusionary, maybe not the right word, but I mean, how did those two kind of like jive? And like, I'm actually surprised that, have you gotten any blowback at all? Or do people like, do they actually fuck with it because it's like, yo, people always want what they can't have?
Yeah, let's reckon your gatekeeping real quick for that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, let's talk about it. Well, there are a few people. There was someone who DM'd me a few weeks ago and was like, "This is abusive."
If you don't add me to Opulent Tips, I'm gonna kill myself.
Which I know is really.
Who was this person?
I'm gonna jump.
I don't know. It's just, I mean, I always look at the DMs. For the most part, I like look at the DMs and see like who, like, what do they have to say? Like if they're, you know.
Oh,
Backing up.
Pitch. What is their pitch?
So is that the application process real quick? You say, hey, I'm accepting, 10 more subscribers, whoever DMs me first.
Yeah, for the most part. Sometimes I have like a challenge, like, what's the breakfast order from Phantom Thread? The first 10 people to send it to me get it. Or we'll
That's
get
a big
it.
boy order. That's a big boy order.
That's a grand motherfucking slam if you've ever been to Denny's. You know what I'm saying?
I know it is. Yeah.
fuck is this Welsh rabbit?
Besides,
it's Welsh rarebit.
Oh, see?
It's like a melted cheese.
See, James, this is why you had to go through me to get you on.
Rachel put me on. It's
Tips.
fine. I got them all at once.
Wait, Rachel. So besides like your little games and gambits that you
my little
use
games
to puppeteer all these poor fucking bastards, what would be like an example of like a good way to slide and beg to get added on, like, games and challenges aside? Like, what are the do's and don'ts of impressing Rachel to the point where you can get added to Opulent Tips?
So the people I always add are people who are like, I don't live in New York or LA, and like everyone in my town is so unattractive. Please help me. I
live in butt ugly Nebraska, and I need some escapism. Rachel,
I live in Boston. Please help.
Yeah.
Everyone here is ugly and racist.
So that's
13.
definitely going to get you in,
Okay.
because I think that's so like, it's so old school, it's like how people used to read Interview magazine in the 90s and they'd be like, I've got to move to New York.
So what might seem like a pathetic sob story from some flyover state loser actually reads to you as like, I can rescue this poor orphan of culture.
Right. And I do adopt all of these people.
Right.
You never know. They might be the next
Thank you
Sam
for your
Hyde.
service.
They might be the next. right?
Yeah.
Or Noah Johnson from
Totally.
Utica,
Yeah.
New York.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure. Noah was a river folk at one point, for sure.
He was a hill person.
Yeah.
All right. So people apply, they give you their like little sob story or a little bio about them. But what about like the don'ts? Like who, like this motherfucker that's claiming that's abusive, that you're not letting them on. How else can people fuck up their own shit, fuck up their own application when sliding in the DMs?
I'm really glad that we're getting a chance to discuss this because there are some things that have been really bothering me. One is
we're gonna mute ourselves and let you talk for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So one is when people DM my boyfriend.
Yikes. That's overstepping a boundary.
The Radiolab podcast producer?
No, that guy sucks. I don't even know where he is. Sometimes I don't know if you guys ever dated someone where you like. I was just gonna say I have a list of ex-boyfriends who I Google just to look up. Like I Google their name in obituary like once a year to see if they've died.
Dead yet? Nope. Okay, try again next week.
One it was really close because he has kind of like a semi-common name, and people with his name keep dying. I know this sounds really horrible, but it's
great. This is great content. Wait, so back to people. So people will like bother Lloyd. Does Lloyd open?
Oh my god, my ex-boyfriend Christopher Plummer died. Oh wait, no,
yeah. I mean, that was really rough.
Like, what does Lloyd think about that?
He just thinks it's really weird.
Okay.
And he doesn't need that in his inbox. He's like really smart. He has huge art things to think about. Like he doesn't have time to think about my newsletter.
Right.
Sure.
Your little girl's newsletter.
My little girl newsletter. Yeah.
Whatever.
Plates and shit.
Yeah.
The other thing that I dislike is when someone is like, Rachel Tashjian is like one of the only people who's like really writing about fashion. And then they respond and they're like, can I get into Opulent tips? Like they compliment me. And I'm like, oh, this is so great. Like
they're brown nosing.
Nice thing to say.
They're brown.
Yeah. And then it's like, wow, are they even reading like the real content?
Yeah.
Right.
Do not slob in this woman's knob if you're not putting in the fucking
Have
work.
some fucking, first of all, act like you've been here before. Have some fucking self-respect. Again, you might be some fucking loser troglodyte who wants a better life for themselves, but like, don't be pathetic about it.
On the flip side of these, hill people from the prairie folk, if you will, do you get a lot of movers and shakers and powerful motherfuckers trying to slide in?
And brokers.
A, how does it make you feel? And B, do you prefer letting them in or prefer keeping them out?
Wow, that's a great question.
Thanks.
That's a beautiful question. Really,
read all
good.
about it. The Thursday
James won a
dumper.
Pulitzer. You know what I'm saying? So there it is at work.
Yeah, I mean, look, if a celebrity asked me if they could be on Opulent Tips, I would absolutely let them. But no celebrities have asked.
Oh, so what? Yeah, who's the most famous?
Who's the most famous or powerful person?
Yeah,
there's a TV actress.
Something we might know.
Who's friends with Lily Kimmel. And I think Lily Kimmel maybe occasionally reads it because I send it to her friend Batsheva, who designs Batsheva dress.
Who's Lily Kimmel? Is that Adam Kimmel's wife or Jimmy Kimmel's wife?
This is former Miss Soboleski.
Ah,
got it.
Now a painter. Now a very talented painter.
Much cooler than acting on TV.
Chilling on that WeWork equity.
Maybe you guys can give me some advice about this because I actually don't actively seek any subscribers for this podcast for the podcast I'm taking over.
Sure,
for the podcast you're right.
For the newsletter. But I do kind of wonder, like, are celebrities just like not cool? Are they not like paying attention to what's going on? Like, do you remember a couple of years ago when St. Vincent was like we were all like, St. Vincent's like a total genius, she's really great, and then she shared an Atlantic article and we were like, oh, what? Like, we didn't think that she was.
I think the popular thought is that celebrities have a lot of like burners or finstas, and that's how they kind of stay up on it. But I think that there's at a certain tier, like I think some people, and I would say like, maybe I'm fucking gonna sound so corny saying this, but I feel like Phoebe Bridgers is like right there is like the most famous person that is still has like their finger on the pulse of like cool shit, or at least like just the discourse and zeitgeist. But then once you cross that threshold, you're so big and busy and protected that you're just in an insular world that like we don't occupy, but sounds fucking terrible and boring.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Phoebe Bridgers eventually is going to like go on Anderson Cooper or something, right? Yeah, people, you always get disappointed. Like, do not. That's at least how I feel. Like, this is saying the guy who stalked Jonah Hill for content for multiple years. But I just think that putting all that faith in celebrities is absolutely misguided. But with that said, we always want to know if you have somebody very cool subscribing to your fucking newsletter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I feel like probably like the person who's coming to mind would be like Lana Del Rey. Like someone's going to
That's cool
about it. But I know she would be a great Opulent tip subscriber.
Oh, absolutely.
But she doesn't need it. She doesn't need it.
Who is the one person that subscriber asked for a subscription that like really made you like, ooh, really tickled?
No one.
Really? No personal heroes? Nobody like in media that you really look up to that you don't already know and work with?
No.
Now, here's the question. What happens when you have some fucking, loser media people trying to fucking, get on the teat of good taste? How do you like someone who maybe isn't like a direct peer, but someone you could, or maybe a colleague, but someone you consider a peer? How do you kind of like sidestep that? Like, no, you're actually bad for my brand. How do you do that?
Yeah. Well, I feel like I have an untouchable brand. So
no one could. So even coming on this podcast couldn't submarine what you've built up over the years.
But that's the point of being invite only, right?
Is
that's hubris. That's hubris, by the way.
Right.
You know what? Honestly, you sound like a couple celebrities I know. That's all.
Yeah.
But that is the joy of having power over your subscription list, right? Sorry, I just had a stroke there. You don't have to accept any fucking losers and haters that you don't want to. You can leave them on red.
But how do you graciously decline if it's someone that you have mutuals with? Oh, you just literally don't even open
it.
Wow.
You don't open it.
Because if you don't open it,
you guys open every single one of your DMs.
Yeah, we're inbox zero.
Yes, 100%. I do.
You're at inbox zero. Oh my God.
On Instagram.
Unopened DMs.
We're the people's champs.
Well, that's because you got yourself in this kind of like this dangerous game where you're, like the amount of limelight specifically on your DMs, because that's how you can get fucking onto the email list. Like you've passed the point of no return. But I'm sure up until that point, you were at inbox zero too. No,
I had a lot of, actually, it's funny. You should bring this up because now I'm remembering something else about the origin story. People would DM me all the time and be like, what's a good puffer? And I was like, I don't know. Like, that's not really.
Should I not be answering that when people? I answer everybody.
Lawrence and I, like, we literally get people that are like, "Yo, what are some pants you fuck with?" And
I tell them.
And you tell them?
Yeah, every person who asks anything.
Like, your whole life has been put into honing that knowledge, and you're just giving it away.
Well, I think
we have a podcast. We have a Thursday Jumper.
I think it makes us seem humble, approachable, and men of the people, which I think is like I don't know what you consider your unimpeachable personal brand that you just mentioned, but like I like to think James and I are just like, yeah, we're men of the people. That's what we do. So, but I would feel terrible ignoring someone or
I leave brands on red.
Off.
I leave brands on red and like thirsty.
Yeah, those are real people.
People that think I still no brands. Corporations are people, legally speaking. They're not the homies though. And I have a bunch of like, amateur rappers that think I still work at Def Jam.
I should take a page out of your book because I'll be honest, like some people, they overstep and they ask and ask and they take and they take and they take and they take where it's like, yo, at a certain point, I'm like, are you a patron? Like, are you somehow fucking.
Yeah, but what if they are?
Two-way street. Then they are. Then just, tell me where you want me. I'll do whatever.
Do you guys have the Instagram reply guys who just reply to stuff that you post and they're like, haha, man, that's crazy.
Yes.
And that's it. That's the whole
fire emoji, laughing reactions, just reacts out the ass.
But Rachel, I do not appreciate the fact that those people are like what you do and like what you put out there.
Yeah.
Well, that's not an appreciation of what I do.
Ooh, go on.
Okay.
What would be?
Well, I had someone I guess this was over the summer when that Celine TikTok collection came out, which would have been late summer, early fall.
Yeah.
And I wrote a piece about that. And I had
a cop car. TikTok shit.
Sure.
Yeah. I had like several men who are probably in their late teens who were DMing me about Eddie Slimane. And they were like, the thing about Eddie that you have to understand. That is like, what? You weren't alive when like he was at Saint Laurent.
That is
and
amazing.
That I thought was great.
Not that I'm a fashion savant like you are, but our TikTok DM or TikTok comments. There was a fucking Eddie Slimane flame war going on a TikTok I made because we made fun of like Eddie, Slimane for like a half a second.
It's crazy that people like that. I mean, we don't need to get into it, but it's insane to me that anybody thinks that's good now, but whatever.
Well, it's crazy to me that people are so upset. Like Hedy Slimane has stands in the way that like, the Barbs or like Rihanna's Navy.
Yeah. But you just wrote about it. You just wrote about it. You said that it's all like old rich guys, right?
The Eddie horde. It's a horde, right? Like,
yeah. There are like, older guys who like it and buy a lot of it. But there are these younger people who are on Twitter who, like, when I wrote that piece, I got all these people quote tweeting like, yes, like someone finally understands what Eddie Slimane is doing. Like, if you don't fuck with Hedy, then like, you don't know what's going on.
How critical was your review of the new era of Celine, or were you like, or of this TikTok era? Were you like, I forget, were you super into it, or did you play both sides? Okay,
I liked
this new one, the teen dark poem shit or whatever.
I thought that one was pretty fun.
Okay, have you ever gotten dragged by high fashion Twitter or like high fashion TikTok?
I don't think I have. No, I mean, I'm sure there's like something on TikTok about how I'm an idiot, but I don't know how to find it.
But to be clear, what you're saying, what you appreciate is when people engage critically with what you put out there versus just like throwing you a crying emoji or a fire emoji. Like, you want the discourse with people, because that to me feels like more work than just kind of like doing the bare minimum of like common decency shit that James and I will do. You'd rather put more work in?
I want to fight with someone. I don't want to have common decency.
So I'm not here to argue.
So someone did actually drag me on HF Twitter. They got really upset that I liked the Rick Owens show, the most recent Rick Owens menswear show that was about male aggression. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like, a designer has actually looked at this phenomenon of like incredibly angry young white men and has
domestic terrorists.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
And this HF Twitter, this kind of famous HF Twitter guy was like, did we see the same fucking show?
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, Rachel, that brings you back kind of to the original question, which, kicked all this off. If the discourse and the casting pearls before swine is what you're hoping to do and not just like superficial engagement, then when it comes to the invite only model, have you faced any sort of reckoning, and are you prepared to, and have you pre-written out your defense or philosophy behind it?
I haven't written it out yet, but I'm absolutely going to do it on iPhone Notes.
Okay.
Now that Lauren says I'm acting like a celebrity, I gotta embrace it.
How do you reconcile this trend, generally speaking, even within fashion, of the old guard being fucking cast aside versus kind of the gatekeeping that exists with this extremely exclusive piece of content that people are clamoring for, that you create?
Well, Opulent Tips is an innocent space.
Okay.
It's an innocent space that's intended for the ladies that I let the men read.
Interesting.
So that's kind of how I think about it. But also, it's a thing that I do on the side of my work. It's not like my primary work.
How many subscribers does Opulent Tips have?
A lot less than you would think.
By design, though. But that's by design.
Yeah.
It's less than you have followers on social media.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Is it double digits?
Oh, I'll tell you. I'll tell you. It's about 200 people.
Okay. That's it?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I feel fucking super cool now.
And curated by the queen herself.
Fuck yeah, dude. All right. I wish you had said it was even less. I would feel even better.
Rachel, I know.
Well, I know. Look at you now.
Okay. Honestly, I might be
criticizing me, and now you're like, whoa, I'm one of the 200 people.
Can I kind of say something? I actually think gatekeeping is good. I changed it.
If you're on this side of the gate, gatekeeping's great.
Yeah, it's really good inside. You know what I'm saying? How are you going to hate from outside the club? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Rachel, you have a 9 to 5. You said that you love, what's the best part? What's the thing you love most about being a staff writer at GQ under the Will Welch administration? Mm-hmm. Important distinction.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, everyone I work with is a genius. So that's really cool. But also Will is the best because he's really he's kind of, it's a funny thing to describe, but it's like, he's kind of old school. Like, he hired all these freaks. He hired a lot of weirdos,
That's how you would describe yourself.
Yeah.
and your professional peers.
I think I'm a weirdo. I think, like Noah's really weird. I think Sam is pretty weird. I think a lot of people.
Yeah. Who's the weirdest person you work with besides yourself, obviously?
Noah's probably the weirdest. Me and Noah are probably the weirdest. Yeah.
It's a term of endearment, though.
Just angry white man from upstate New York who skates. That sounds pretty run of the mill to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's weird.
A domestic terrorist who loves snow sports as well.
And like our visuals director is like super creative. She's not weird, but she dresses really cool and she has like crazy taste. So it's kind of like old school in the sense that like if you read any of the like old magazine memoirs about the 80s and 90s, it's like all these people who like you kind of can't believe are working in a magazine because it seems so corporate for these like interesting people. Yeah.
And that's what Will did, right? He immediately just surrounded himself with like awesome people, period. And then lo and behold, the product they put out is distinctly awesome.
Who would have thought that getting the fucking Breakfast Club together? Yeah, what?
By mine.
Oh.
Opulent Tips is named at the number. Yeah.
The Oppies.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, the Oppies.
Rank number one at the Oppies Awards.
Are you going to hand out some awards? Have you factored in, like, is there going to be any kind of like a end
Yo, Lawrence, for next year's Fitties, we got to do a newsletter category.
Oh, yeah, we can do newsletter. Yeah, because we had an award show, and honestly, people love, who would have thunk it? People love voting in polls.
I voted. I immediately voted.
Oh, that's right. You did.
Excited. Yeah.
Who's your top brand in 2020?
I don't remember. What were
also what was on our list was not like who Rachel would pick, probably.
Well, I think Rick.
Who was on the list? Can you remind me?
Well, Amelie on door one.
I voted for them.
Oh shit!
That's who I voted for.
Yeah,
I think they had a great year.
And you wrote, I thought, really intelligently and amazingly about why that lookbook seemingly connected with a lot of people, that like community and that joyousness, that at least that's how I felt. Obviously I was in the lookbook for everyone at home, not realizing. So that was,
he did not tag the photographer on IG. That's a bad web etiquette. Okay. So Rachel, you have this awesome you have this awesome 9 to 5, right? You have healthcare, which is great. And maybe we can have some,
sure.
Which is, I think like Lawrence and I, the Patreon is our foundation. And so we don't necessarily have to cash in or make a quick fucking bag every time we have a chance. And I think you follow the same logic where it's like the newsletter is this fun little extra bonus activity that's just like a passion. But you do have so much demand right now. Why wouldn't you charge money for people to subscribe? Is it just that you have a job?
I don't know if it's just that I have a job. I don't think, one, I don't need more money.
That's great. Congratulations.
You guys
not very opulent. Not very opulent.
I was going to say, that the difference between Baroque and broke, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, it's not Rococo tips. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if it were Rococo tips, then maybe I would charge money for it.
Right.
But I don't know. I think it's like not that charging money for a newsletter is like selling out or something, but like I don't need to charge money for my newsletter. Like I would never let someone like buy it. Like, I don't know. There's like so much pressure to like, whenever you do anything like cool and small, to like make money off of it or like corporatize it in some way, like make it professional, like blah, blah, blah. Like everyone's like, when are you going to make merch? And it's like, I don't need to make merch. Like,
hold on, let me delete that question.
You're supposed to buy stuff that that I'm recommending.
Is that a symptom of late stage capitalism where it's like, hey, look at this cool thing. And it's immediately like, how do we make money first and foremost? Is that what it is? People just like that expectation? Or do you think that maybe more stuff like this can convince people that you can just do what you do, that you're passionate about, that other people are into,
rock, baby?
Because like what you're doing, so professionalism is overrated then, is what we're saying, and unnecessary to making something cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Have people or brands or anyone approached you to try and like monetize a newsletter?
Yeah, so I know I just gave that speech, but no one has.
Okay.
And now no one will.
What?
You sanctimonious fuck.
Look, I think usually I'm like really suspicious of anything that's popular, and like more and more recently, I'm like, if it's popular, it like can't be good. And And so like, I know that in a certain way, like what I'm doing is popular, but it's not popular enough that anyone has tried to buy it. And I think that that's actually really good.
This is a conversation that Lawrence and I kind of have is perception is reality. Although like when things are pinging around the fucking, echo chamber and the cool media bubble, like, do you ever have to take a step back and be like, yo, Opulent Tips is fire. I love doing it, but like, it's not a fucking, game changer or anything. It's really just popular within this like small subset. Like, how do you grapple with that and keep your feet grounded in reality? Or do you just fucking let loose and just like float away?
Or you gassed the fuck up right now on your own vapors.
Right. Well, I think you have to understand, like, there's some sort of like psychology at play with the sharing of the newsletter. Like, people are sharing it not because it's so cool, but to brag that they are subscribers.
Right. The flex is like, being able to forward it.
I'm sure that like a lot of, I'm not saying that like it's bad or something, but like, there are a lot of things where I'm writing about topics or things that other people have written about, or that like, I don't find to be like particularly like, wild, but part of it is you're like, oh yeah, like the part of the kind of phenomenon, if you in air quotes, is like you share it because you're like, look, I have a subscription to this.
And do you play into that at all by re-sharing everyone posting screenshots to their story? Like, you're kind of like puppeteering this a little bit yourself?
You're fueling the cloud economy 100%. Your story.
I'm fueling the cloud economy. Absolutely.
Yo, you're the OPEC of this shit.
I don't know if did you say clown economy or clout? Because it both also works.
Oh, I said clown economy, but you said cloud economy.
I said clown, but I love that you are happy to be the dean of clown college. You are so happy to be in that role. Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know it's still early days, but I have to imagine that. Have you ever given any thought to what the future is for Opulent Tips? It sounds like it's not cashing in. It's not chasing celebrities necessarily, but like, what is the even like 6-month plan here?
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm just taking it week by week,
It's better than day by day, but you haven't planned it out too far.
I really hope at some point I can stop it because the pandemic is over. Like, I think and part of the reason why I wanted to do this, of course, is like to talk to my friends about clothes and like what I'm buying and what I think, like, I also like, it's funny. I think there's so many places, and obviously I work for one of them, but there are so many places where like these kind of unusual or obscure menswear brands are discussed. And there's not really a place like that for women's wear. Like there's not even like, if you go on like female fashion advice, it's not people who are talking about like, Otto Linger and like Lauren Manoogian.
Hold up. You think the subreddit male fashion advice is discussing obscure emerging bubble?
No.
That's a huge community, James. That has a million. That's the wall.
Right. But that's like, yo, should I get this J. Crew shirt or this Banana Republic shirt?
No, but Rachel, I think what you're like, while there are these small pocket communities where men can nerd out over clothes, it's different for Discord. Women. It's definitely a double standard for sure.
Yeah.
Have you given any thought to an Opulent Tips Discord, which is a live chat room where your subscribers they don't have to join if they don't want to, but it really is a living, breathing. Lawrence and I, like, honestly, the most popular channel on our Discord, and the one that I lurk is John's, where it's just them like discovering and learning about and teaching each other about like brands that, hopefully, or not hopefully, but that they just learned about.
Yeah.
Maybe that's in the Opulent Tips future.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the problem that I have is that like sometimes people will like email me and they'll be like, have you heard of this brand? And I'm like, yeah, of course I've heard of that. So I don't know. I feel like I have a pretty deep knowledge of like small and obscure women's wear brands. And I have to I do have a couple of friends who I really like nerd out on that stuff about, but it seems like for the most part, like the readership like wants to know about those things.
But
like,
Rachel, I guess what I'm saying is if you don't think that there's a space for women to geek out over like obscure shit or like new shit or under the surface shit, don't you think that you're fostering this community? And don't you think that Opulent Tips itself could be that space?
Well, right now, I think what Rachel is saying is like the newsletter, and you specifically, right, in your knowledge, you're the vessel through which to like share versus like creating a community and this place for dialogue, right? There's no comment section on the newsletter, though I guess people can reply directly to you and you're then engaging with them. But that's still that's an A to B thing, right? That's not
it's linear. What if you ever un-BCC'd everyone?
Ooh, chaos.
I know that could be really dangerous, right?
Some women just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah,
that'd be wild, dude. I'm gonna get Graydon Carter's email off that shit. Fucking so cool. Try to book him for the pod or whatever.
I'm gonna get Wait,
you guys should have him on the pod. That would be amazing.
I was thinking about it because, well, whatever. But could you get the big GC for the boys?
I bet he would do it.
Is he a subscriber?
No, he's not.
Okay.
Is he aware this is obviously a former boss of yours and an icon? I mean, maybe the most iconic, New York media or media guy in general, at least of the past, it feels like modern times. Is he aware at all of like what you've been up to since you've like stopped working for him, like what you've done with your career?
He writes me an email once in a while.
Interesting.
But
how's his?
Does he send it via airmail?
So wait.
My question was, does he send it via airmail?
But and then mine was, is it natural style?
He sends natural
Next
style.
question.
Yeah. Honestly, I know this is apropos. That's how I like to have sex, natural style. I just wanted to throw that out there in case anybody.
All right. Your wife is punching the air in the other room right now.
Not the first time, nor will be the last.
Are your current coworkers all subscribers?
Yeah, most of them are.
Okay. Most.
Have you left anyone on red?
No, absolutely not.
But some people haven't reached out, so you're just wait. Someone's going to they have to make the first move, though.
They don't have to. I mean,
you'd be so bold as to just add someone on your own.
No, I would never do that because people hate email. People really hate email.
You ever thought about taking Opulent tips and making it a handwritten letter and just writing out each copy by hand, one by one?
Damn.
Save the U.S. Postal Service.
That's primitive style.
That's real opulence right there.
Primitive style. Yeah.
Damn, dude. You just
that's real opulence.
Yeah. That the most exclusive newsletter ever would, besides one that you lie about doing, as we covered at the top of and that's just, again, real media, unusable recon for all the fucking trogs and flyover staters. But just a message in a bottle, just into the void. Who's to say? You want a pillow recommendation? I don't know. Fuck.
Pillows are really having a moment, aren't they?
Home goods, like you kind of established before. It's like you're around this stuff all the time. You want to fucking feel opulent. You want to feel.
Have you guys been getting home goods?
No.
Flowers. I love, and this is really speaking of my wife, just having fresh cut flowers to me, it really, I think is.
I hung a bouquet of eucalyptus over my shower head, inspired by Christopher Green and his wife, Jess. And that was cool until like the sap was just like running down my shower and just making everything sticky and gross.
Just like a lot of like lilies, just really, to me, I don't know. For me, it's like a mental health thing, I think more, but it also like aesthetically is pleasing. But
I can't improve my home because every Thursday turns into a fucking podcast studio.
Yeah. That's true.
Lawrence comes over. Rachel, I think that each dispatch, of Opulent Tips averages about 40,000 words. If one is lucky enough to make it to the list, well, first of all, do they get access to the archive, or do they just like start from where they get added?
I just put at the bottom that like if you want earlier versions, then just reach out and I forward
for the 18 million minus 200. So whatever that is, 17,999,800 listening at home. Just like TLDR, what's the easiest way to just, simply add some opulence to one's life? Like what's the first thing they could do?
This is horrible. The first thing I thought of was like, just put a belt on. Remember like 2008, every piece of fashion advice is like, just put a belt on.
Like put a bird on it, like put a belt on.
Yeah. Just put a belt on it. Yeah. That's a great question. I mean, first of all, like buy a velvet jacket. That's really good. I think getting like really nice lamps is always really helpful.
What do you think is IKEA? What do you think of this bad boy right here?
I don't like that at all.
Well, you and my boy Simon from Sweden will agree to disagree.
Yeah. Classic. Scandinavian
paint your
design.
apartment.
Ooh. Little accent wall. You can't see, but behind me, ignore the terrible furniture in my office, but that's an emerald, a nice jewel tone.
Right.
That's an accent wall.
Your office looks like Daniel Arsham's apartment.
Damn, dude. It's a lot of
Roasted.
sneakers. Yeah, but that's probably the worst thing that you could ever
All right,
say to me. So
get some
fuck
lamps.
you.
Get some lamps. Paint a wall. Anything else?
Get
Okay.
really nice bedding.
Yes.
Sure. Expensive, but worth it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, expensive.
You gotta spend-
Don't
you
get Brooklinen. Don't get
Don't
that.
fuck Brooklyn and get
Is that
Ma-
one of your sponsors or something?
No,
No, I mean, well, not now, but honestly, if anyone from Brooklyn is listening, we can take all of this out for the right price.
Lawrence, what's your bedding of choice?
Restoration Hardware.
Okay. Rachel?
Okay.
Just you, and here's my tip, honestly. So let me just say something. Bedding is crazy expensive. So try to take advantage of it when you get married as much as you can. As far as like getting, on your registry or getting gifts from people. But Restoration Hardware Outlet. That's what I do.
Head to Paramus, go to the mall,
dude.
go to the mall, have yourself a day.
Can't buy that shit at retail.
I feel like I may have read this in like one of those like old issues of GQ or old blogs of GQ where it's like how to be a man. It's like, my father always told me spend money on things that separate you from the ground. Good shoes, good tires, and good bedding.
Dude, that's a boardroom to the bar type. That's that old GQ. You love that. Real good.
Lots of dudes jumping around in suits.
A lot of trampolines, a lot of fucking tie bars.
Exactly.
Shout out Peggy Sirota.
Rachel, we're coming up on a year of work from home, lockdown. I want to know, what is the most opulent fit that you've put together during quarantine? Because I know you keep a beautiful mind encyclopedia up there. So if you had to break down the most singularly opulent fit that you put together in the past year, what was it?
It's a great question. I had another core project, which was this somewhat too short-lived, I have to say, Instagram account called Working From Home.
Oh,
Fits.
right.
Yeah, why'd you stop that? That was awesome.
That went big.
Because we got burnout.
Yeah.
But actually, Jonah Hill followed that. And we were always like, we should just ask him to submit a fit. But that kind of really, I would say that looking at everyone's outfits that I would receive like via DM really changed my opinion of loungewear, which was like, I kind of had like some caftans or something that I would like wear around the house. But then I realized like, wait a minute, I need to really not push into sweatpants. Because that's something that I would wear out of the house, but like something that only works inside the house. And so I developed this process called bone tone dressing.
Okay.
So I bought.
Oh, I'm a citizen of Bone Town. Oh, sorry, Bone Tone. Yeah.
No, you're you're in the bone zone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Wait, can you explain what is the bone tone?
Bone tone is like a very
Episode
like
title.
eggshell bone white color palette.
Head to toe.
Head to toe.
At home and that's soothing, mentally speaking, when you put it on and you look at it, it's calming.
Yeah.
Zen.
But it's really soft.
Right.
I have like a couple of pieces by this designer, Lauren Manoogian, who makes incredible knitwear and should frankly make menswear. Her partner, Chris, is really extremely well dressed. And so I just have like some like cotton Lauren Manoogian pants that are like beige, and then a white kind of turtleneck, and then a fisherman sweater. And then I have a little hat.
And that the most opulent.
Is the most opulent fit that
within the bone zone.
Yeah. Well, it's cool it's so opulent to wear one designer head to toe, like including hat.
Is that hard to?
Have you guys ever done that?
Only with our Legace.
Maybe Supreme. That's embarrassing. That's not a designer, but it's a brand. Yeah,
you might want to
put that out. But here's the thing. I think the idea of head to toe, that's kind of like, and obviously the way that the fantasy that you're projecting of head to toe, the row or yogi, sure. But I think that's like a, when you try hard, you die hard thing, because that's like when you look at a hype beast, they're also probably wearing head to toe. I guess these are two different aesthetic types of ways of dressing, but it's interesting that you're recommending that. I would tell someone you should never wear head to toe. You should try to find personal style, because that's not like, to me, that not that you would be copying a lookbook exactly, right?
Lawrence, this is coming from, and let's keep in mind that this is coming from someone who's only done head to toe in Maison de Jebbia.
Okay, all right. Well, that's just rude.
I also think there's like, I totally agree with what you're saying about personal style, Lawrence, but I also think there's like a kind of like a fashion nerd niche within the like extreme personal style where it's like, I'm just committed to Casey, and that's all I wear.
I only buy Rick. I only buy MA Cross. I only buy CCP. Okay.
Only buy ALD. And yeah, they make it work.
Yeah. Okay. So really, we're just talking about if you're going to do that, get it from a fucking good brand.
Yeah.
That only makes bangers. Okay. I
think one question that is deceptively simple, but in your case, not so much, Rachel, is like, and you know, how would you describe your personal style? Because it is so eclectic, so wide ranging. We don't want to fucking mansplain your own shit to you. So like your personal style, obviously you have one. How would you describe it?
Well, there's a store in Philadelphia called Joan Shep that I grew up going to. And that's where I like discovered Rick Owens and like Dries Van Noten and Yohji Yamamoto and Comme des Garçons. And the style of that store is very like cool woman who lives on a farm but collects like extreme like Asian antiques.
Colonist.
Yeah, colonist.
A colonizer.
Yeah.
Imperialist. You are the imperialist of the inbox.
I would say that really like shaped my sense of style. Because the other thing is like they have a lot of brands. Joan Shep carries a lot of brands that are not necessarily in my fashion wheelhouse, but that sort of like also shaped so like they're obsessed with, I guess what I'm getting at is like they carry Golden Goose, and like I would never wear Golden Goose sneakers. No. However, terrible. Like there was something to me about that was like, oh wow, yeah. And then you just finish off this like head to toe, like or head to ankle Dries Van Noten, with some geese. Like Rick Margiela with some Golden Goose.
Top it off sneakers. With the Golden Geese, baby.
With some flying V's, with some honkers.
Fucking
yeah. So I think what I'm saying is like I like super fashiony kind of like I guess like artisanal or like crafty looking clothes, but then I like a little moment of like, you know, blissful
ignorance,
materialism. Yeah. Ignorance.
That's like if you go to Italy and you want like, and you see these kind of pretty uomo type guys where they're all fucking draped up and dripped out in like the most beautiful tailoring. And then they're wearing like Hogan sneakers, right? It's the exact same. It's always footwear with these. For some.
How long does it take to mentally get dressed in the morning and then actually put the fit together?
I usually just like think about what I'm going to wear while I'm in the shower, like while I'm doing my like face care routine, skin care routine, whatever it's called.
Does it start for a lot of like dudes that listen to the show and hence like the stupid fit check bit? Does it start like foundationally with the footwear? Like I know I want to wear these boots because I'm leaving the house today and the rest of the fit kind of goes from there? Or is it really kind of like haphazard depending on like what's new or what's been inspiring you? Is there kind of like does it ever get
the process? What's the process
by numbers to some degree?
I've never started again. And this is like, maybe I'm a police officer, but I've never started with like, I need to wear these shoes ever.
Maybe,
where does it start?
Thing?
Yeah, I think it is.
I think it's a young man's thing. Where does it start?
Sure.
Usually it starts with a jacket. I have a lot of jackets.
You're
a ton of jackets. So I'm like, yeah.
Do you have more of all the categories in your wardrobe? Do you have more jackets than anything else?
Yeah. Definitely. I have too many jackets.
Do you have a storage issue? Like, I don't know what your apartment setup is like, but like, is your shit just everywhere, overflowing? Every chair, every amazing lamp is just covered in Johns?
No. I try to keep it tight and tidy. You know, you got to have a tight edit.
Are you constantly churning through your closet and selling or getting rid of stuff that isn't doing it for you anymore? And like, just so you can add more, or are you a hoarder?
Why don't you tune into your ex-girlfriend's Instagram live and find out?
Walk right into that one. I don't think I'll be tuning in.
Well, speaking of keeping things
Lawrence, keep this moving here. Drink this water.
Speaking of keeping things like, you know, nice and tight and kind of like, you know, coalesced around, you know, what's important. Let's talk about the idea of like building one's personal brand. And this is a loaded question, right? But you do so much cool kind of stuff on the side, but we already talked about the work from home's Instagram. That was like viral, right? That was like a viral moment that happened with you and your friends that were running the account with you. You have this amazing newsletter with, even if it's like super exclusive to around 200 people, like everybody is talking about it. The two-parter here is, do you find it hard to strike a balance between your dream job and all these awesome side projects? And then the second part is, have these side projects ever kind of gotten you in trouble or like created some type of professional conflict that, like James said, bit you in your ass?
No. I mean, Never. Look, it's like, the thing is, like, anything that I'm doing on the side, it really like doesn't take me that long.
Really?
You know, like, I'm sure you guys found this too. Like, when you were working and you were doing the podcast, like, did the podcast really take you guys that much time?
No,
yes.
Not really.
Yes,
wait, yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
I guess what you're saying.
Time.
So wait, the newsletter, you're saying you wake up on Sunday and you bang it out, and now you got to do a little bit of recon depending on the questions in that lineup. But it's that simple to you.
Yeah, pretty much.
But Rachel, like, obviously, like, we work in, like, lifestyle and fashion, and it's different. There's different rules when it comes to journalism. I don't know if you read like Ben Smith's piece on, never tweet, because it was about how like certain reporters, their star has gotten so big with their huge social followings, and how does that clash with like the newsroom ethics and different entities treated differently. It seems like at GQ, and again, to his credit, Will just like, yo, do your thing, because like the happier you are doing whatever you do, the better you're going to be at your job, for GQ, right?
And more people are going to read your byline and read your reviews and whatever.
As independent creatorship and independent media has taken off in the past, I don't know, like 6-9 months. Like, has that ever been a thing that's come up at GQ, or is it still kind of just like, yo, do your thing?
It's pretty much do your thing. I mean, I thought that Ben Smith article was really interesting because I don't know. I think there's just this, there seems to be a lot of anger about women on Twitter. Like, if you think about all of if you think about the way that people go after Maggie Haberman or Olivia Nuzzi or Taylor Lorenz,
friend of the
there's
show.
Something, and even like, even the way that people go after Barry Weiss, I don't know, for some reason, like, young women on Twitter make people really upset.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of guys being like, pipe down, sweetheart, smile more.
Yeah.
Right. It's that kind
and
of
I think that's some of it.
What about,
do you get that? Do you get any of that kind of bullshit?
No, I don't. But I don't really have. I mean, now
Okay.
I guess I have. I have like 15 or 16,000 followers, but like, it's not really that many.
What about this whole notion of not just when it comes to like tweeting opinions, but also influencership as an editor versus working at like the larger Death Star, which was an issue. Again, I think it was mostly an issue with like female editors where, they endorse something, but the sales department of that company is like, yo, what the fuck? Like, okay, you got paid a paltry bag for this, but guess what? We could have like parlayed this. We were talking to this brand and could have parlayed this into like a multi-year, advertising thing. Whereas you just like walked away with, a small bag to do an IG post. Has that ever come up at GQ? Like, I know that you guys are all popping in your own ways, but I don't necessarily see you guys doing like sponsored content and shit like that.
That's a good question.
Thank you. A lot of good questions.
Yeah, a lot of good questions today, apparently. Shout out fucking
yeah. I mean,
like, if Adidas came, obviously you're never going to sell it, but if Adidas came to Opulent Tips and like, yo, we want to do a deal, do you have to go to GQ and be like, hey, is this cool because I know that Nike's an advertiser?
I probably would, but like, I don't get asked those kinds of questions. I think I'm too weird for like Nike's or Adidas to want to do a project with me.
Too rare to live, too weird to die.
I think that's good. As I said earlier, like, I think if something's popular, I'm immediately suspicious of it. So,
well, that segues into my next question pretty nicely. I think your weirdness is one of your greatest assets. Your eagle eye for the unexplainable phenomena of the zeitgeist. I think you are up there with the elites, right? Which begs me to ask, your One Jersey Plaza brethren at the New Yorker, they profiled us over the summer. And, we have a lot going on. We put out the only podcast Boots That Matter. We put out the only Loafers That Matter, dropping soon. We have a lot of big things coming up. My question is, when will GQ finally cover Throwing Fits?
Yeah. Whose dick do we got to suck around here?
I don't know. Didn't you guys ask Mag this?
I don't know.
What did he say? I think you
Well,
did, but I don't remember.
He probably
That
said
was a really
some shit.
good episode.
He probably said, thank you. He probably said some shit like quit Barstool. So we quit Barstool. So
Yeah. So what now?
we
What?
did that. So what's next? Tell us. What can we do?
I don't know.
You're getting this. We're giving you a really
Why
good
do you
opportunity
guys
to just
need
dunk on us.
GQ?
We don't. Thank you. Because we absolutely don't.
What if we made some suits and jumped around in them?
Yeah, we'll bring our own trampolines.
Not that
We'll bring our
anymore.
tell Will. We'll bring our own trampolines.
What do we got to do? Get on our fucking Evan Kenori shit and make like 6 shirts for 6 people? Like,
Yeah, you have to be Evan Kenori. You have to. Your
Slow
podcast has to reach. You have to slow podcast.
we
that
do. We
only-
pod for 4
only
hours
6
every week.
Only 6 people can listen to the podcast.
Damn it.
All of your
fuck.
merch has to be hand knit.
I mean, we can get like children. We can hit up the Comfort Colors Blank Factory and ask for a quick little carpal tunnel check.
The children's
on all the kids,
package.
all the kids in the sweatshop if you want. But so what you're
And
saying
you
is
have to do a feelings podcast.
So I guess there's no hope for the fact that a young men's fashion podcast that deals with the brands and the designers and the zeitgeist that GQ overlays with, never going to get ink in the GQ pages. Or
Well, but you
It's on the
guys are
GQ
just
blog.
biting our shit. So like,
Excuse me?
why?
there it is.
Why would
Thank
we
you.
write about you?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I don't know exactly what shit that's supposed to be biting, but that was you had the opportunity to fucking 360-degree tomahawk slam dunk throwing fits into the trash can, and that was okay. It's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I mean,
Thank you.
my thought was that you're just too busy because I mean, your fucking output, you're more prolific than mixtape era Gucci Mane. You're like fucking plies on this bitch. Like, how many hours a week do you spend actually writing?
But most of them,
Right.
I write a lot. Yeah.
And you choose to do it every Sunday morning. And does that writing feel any different than the writing that
Not
you're
just
filing?
the opulent tips,
for
but
work?
GQ shit as
Yeah.
well. I mean,
Well, when
Yeah.
I'm writing for GQ, like I'm usually like, even if I'm not, like extensively quoting the designer whose show I'm reviewing, like I've spent probably a long amount of time talking to them.
Right.
So it's a lot of like I have a collection of myself on Zoom calls with like various designers, and I'm wearing a different hat in every one. It's a great thing to do. So yeah, I mean, that takes up a lot of time. And then also like you want to go out and like, I go to stores a lot to try and like see things, especially because now it's like things are arriving in stores that I'll have never seen before.
Right.
Which is kind of weird, and you're trying to write about this stuff and you like you don't really know like how it's made or like what it looks like or what it feels like.
So is the better
yeah, I mean,
question, how much does your life revolve around fashion? Like,
I would say most of my life revolves around fashion, which is kind of weird. But
Do you have any
how much
interests outside of
your
fashion?
life?
a lot. No, and it's a lot. And I think that James and I like joke about that and a lot. I mean, I think that's kind of the basis of nearly everything that we do. Is that something that you ever think twice about, or maybe like cycle through emotions in regarding to the amount of time that's spent focused on this thing that while it may be wonderful to everyone on the Zoom call, most people find frivolous and esoteric and unapproachable to some degree?
Oh, the fact that it's like that, the fact that it's frivolous and esoteric and approachable doesn't bother me at all. I think that's
Right.
actually the best
You're a
part
gatekeeper.
about
You're a
it.
gatekeeper, so obviously, right.
Well, no, I've always really liked that about it. And I actually think it's kind of funny when people are like, fashion really reflects what's going on in the world. And it's like, what? Kind of, but like no more than any other industry.
Right.
I mean, I think it's like, to me, it's just an interesting lens to like look at everything that's happening through. I mean, you can kind of like connect it to all of these other things and you can end up talking about, I mean, just as you guys do on this podcast, you end up talking about lots of things that aren't maybe directly related to fashion, but it gets you there like really easily because I think it communicates so directly. And it's a really shameless kind of art form.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, my boyfriend works in art, so like we go to galleries and we go to museums a lot and I read a lot. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty intense, I guess, isn't it?
But giving credit where credit is due, I think what's amazing about you and the kind of work that you've put out, and I think that James and I, we would be lucky to see ourselves in this vein as well, is that like, everyone in our industry seemingly takes this shit too seriously, and everyone on the outside doesn't take it seriously at all. So if you could find a way to straddle these worlds in an authentic way because it's actually how you feel, then you're kind of creating a lane that seemingly nobody else wants to occupy besides, again, everyone on the Zoom call. So salute to you, fucking brethren. That's all I had to say there. That was a compliment.
To you guys too.
I mean, Rachel, so, you mentioned that you're constantly on Zooms, you're constantly talking to designers, and doing some, great work, like connecting the dots, I think is what you really do. And so on some real like critic shit, is there a subject that you would love to profile that so far has evaded you?
Well, I've been really dying to profile Yoji Yamamoto, but he only does like in-person profiles.
So you don't want it that that bad. You don't want to go to Japan and
you're not willing to risk
travel
your life.
Well, I mean, Chris Guy Molly was like, maybe you guys should just go get the COVID vaccine together.
Right?
Like that's the piece.
I think a profile on the master by you, one of his biggest fans and someone who I think really understands what makes him great and who wears and buys the clothes. Like that's essential work. I would say, fuck yeah, you could take my dosage. I'm just fucking podcaster.
I'll give you my Japanese passport.
Thanks.
That's how it works, right?
Yeah, sure.
I think so.
Go in.
Sure.
It's funny. So you obviously said like a fashion designer. I feel like most people in this day and age would have been like, oh, I want to profile Drake or fucking Travis or Rihanna. Like the celebrity culture is fucking alive and well in 2021. Do we have to take this down a notch? Like, who are the celebrities out there that people fucking lose their shit over that you think their style is just overrated and bad?
Yeah, let's course correct a bit from you, the boss.
I
mentioned Drake. I mentioned Travis.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't. Well, obviously, like I.
When I'm looking at GQ's big fits of the week, which is obviously something that we bite all the time, right? There's not a lot of great shit there. So, like, who's from your mind? Who do you think has overrated style? Whether they're being fucking gassed up by GQ over here or fucking, the clout chases over there. Who is it?
Do you guys, I guess the question I would ask is like, did you guys fall off of Shia's style before the horrible allegations? Or were you like, ooh, in retrespect, like how do you deal with something like that?
After we got Jonah for the second time, I think that we kind of stopped, well, our Mount Rushmore up until then had always been, even before that, our Mount Rushmore had been Jonah, Kanye, Shia, and I think we had said like John Mayer for
John Mayer as like a floater
because we had to. Yeah. And then we were like, yo, fuck Kanye, like he's off the Mount Rushmore, like we blew his head up. And then it was like, and then we kind of stopped doing that after we got Jonah for the second time. We were just like, yo, there's more interesting people, or not more interesting. There's so many interesting people in this world to speak to, like fuck celebrity shit. And then the Shia obsession, I think, had waned, and then when all that shit came out, we were like, fuck Shia. Like we should have all seen this coming. We should have all paid attention to like the horrible things that had happened before. Right. And now it's just like line in the sand, fuck Shia.
Yeah.
Well, but do you like, it's the kind of thing where it's a question that I think a lot of other industries have been talking about, but like one that doesn't really come up in fashion, maybe for some of the reasons, Lawrence, that you were saying a few minutes ago, but it's like, do you then have to, like, I guess this is a question of like, can you separate the art from the artist?
Right.
Like, because in retrospect, I think there's something kind of like, there's something really odd about his obsession with like this kind of survivalist intense clothing.
Yeah.
That
you could extrapolate a fuck ton based on like what happened and then what we already knew. And while like to James's point, like or like I personally feel like it's not up to throwing fits to answer for Shia LaBeouf. With that said, we did fucking gas the dude up from a fucking aesthetic standpoint for a long time. And I think, we did have to say something, but yeah, I think separating the art from the artist, I mean, it seems like people only ever see it one way, or like they either do or they either can or they either can't. Doesn't seem to be people that can like, I feel like approach it with nuance, which is a shame, but I feel like that's probably also nearly everything in the discourse now, which is unfortunate because you can't it's hard to have this conversation without even being like, damn, am I going to say the wrong fucking thing? And it's a minefield, right?
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I always wonder this about Coogee sweaters too, it seems like after the Bill Cosby allegations.
Oh, I was like, what did Biggie do? Yeah, what did Biggie do? All right.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny. I never thought when I think of Coogee, I think of Biggie. I don't think of
Bill Cosby.
I don't think of Puddin' Pops. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, but I think it seems like people sort of stepped back from that for a while. I don't know.
Damn,
I mean,
that sucks that
so you don't
Coogee, a
think
brand that has nothing to do with this man, would be suffering, right? Because of what some other, that's almost like, why should Throwing Fits suffer for what, some fucking guy, some asshole did? It's like, why should Coogee suffer for, what Cosby did? But maybe you're right. Maybe people are like, oh, can't wear this and got to put all my Coogies on ice.
All right, so Rachel, who do you think are the male celebrities out there? Let's focus on the men.
Okay.
Let's focus on the fellas. They're not getting enough attention. That maybe get big up for their style, whether it's Bill Cosby or Biggie. That you think don't necessarily deserve it.
Mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Why is that? Because isn't
he like on the fucking watch section of GQ every other day?
Yeah.
Look, his watches are amazing.
Yeah, he has
his
an amazing
watch
collection.
face is peerless.
Okay.
He feels like he dresses a little bit like a male influencer.
And you mean that pejorative to the T. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Like in sets. He seems to be really into sets.
Yo, this is what I'm telling you. When you wear today's my Visvim day. Tomorrow's my Campai Collective day. Tomorrow's my acronym day. And he's clearly supporting his homies, right? I just mentioned 3 guys that he has close, intense personal relationships with. Hiroki Nakamura, whoever the fucking guy is who does Campai, and then
big old beardy old.
Then Errolson, right? But that to me is where it's almost like, yeah, you're trying super hard to do the set. But I think if you would say that he dresses like a male influencer, I would say he dresses like the most tasteful male influencer then, because it is the right brand.
You kind of wish he would go out on a limb once in a while. He's wearing the homies, and then he doesn't when is he gonna?
Is he too imprisoned by his own success? He's like, yo, I'm the Viz God. I can't fucking I can't put down that. I can't give up that belt.
Yeah,
I think he is. Yeah, but the real Viz God is Clapton.
Right. Sure. And that's who and how does Mayer know about Viz is through Clapton. Who, by the way, this is the other thing I was thinking about with talk about cancel guy. Clapton apparently a big old fucking racist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said no black in the Union Jack.
So it's like, fuck, Zoot boarders are out here fucking punching the air, There's only so many cool 90s fits outside of an airport.
Yo, how to talk to girls at parties too. The
Canceled.
post count is about to go down.
Cancel. Yeah. Gotta, separate the art from the artist. It's tough. Because
Rachel, you're out here flying at 35,000 feet. You got your eye on everything. We know that for a fact. What brands should we all keep an eye on moving into 2021? Who's about to pop off?
This is your shot though. You can put the homies on like Mayer, or you can bless us with some fucking next level.
You can say Evan
Bach 69 unbeatable recon.
You know what this is going to be familiar to your readers, but what the collection that I really, really liked a lot was Kiko Kostadinov.
Yeah.
Just wrote about it. That's how you, wait, can you pronounce that?
Cool.
Can you pronounce that again? Okay,
Kostadinov.
Cool. All right. Yeah. I don't know how to say it. I just say Kiko, obviously.
Yeah. Everyone says Kiko.
Kiko.
I think he's so great.
You love me.
You like the A6 and do you like this new, one, do you like the A6 collabs that no longer is happening? And then do you think, let me run a theory by you. I think that him and his design team, that just being hired to work in-house, not to have your name, even a guy like Kiko, in fucking bright lights on like a billboard as a collaborator, but just as somebody who's in the fucking design studio, bringing good ideas and tastefulness that shapes general release sneakers that everybody can get. Is that something that is exciting to you? Because I feel like no one's talking about, because obviously everyone wants to talk about Virgil. Everyone wants to talk about, the fucking Rick Owens fucking doing this shit now with Converse to Turbo Dorks, but just getting a guy who, people want to buy shoe boxes with his name on him, but at the same time, just let him touch as much product as possible. And I think hopefully the sales will just come. It's probably a longer play, right? But for me, that's the most exciting thing about Kiko right now.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with you. I mean, he's a real unorthodox dude.
Yeah.
So he doesn't I feel like everything that we assume as the way that you do things, he's like, but why are we doing it like that?
Right. But he also, I feel like, doesn't walk around being like, I'm a disruptor, like fucking Elon Musk or any of the Andrew Yang or any of these fucking bozos. It's like he just does it.
Dudes.
Yeah, well,
right.
sure,
and he's not even like, I mean, he's kind of mischievous, but it's not even like because he's mischievous. I think he just thinks like everything is BS, you know?
Right.
Who else besides Kiko? Who else besides? Sorry to cut you off before you go off on Kiko for another 6 minutes, Lawrence. Who else besides Kiko should we keep an eye on, Rachel?
This is a really small designer who I think is really cool. This guy, Adam Jones, and he's British and he makes upcycled clothing, but he uses beer towels to make all of his clothes. So it's like all these really cool sweater vests and like pullovers, and he makes pants and shorts.
It's like what Martine Rose did famously. She did the right. So and
Margiela.
Yeah, it's his, but his work's not derivative. Now I sound like a critic.
No, not really.
But it's all beer mats, everything or whatever, beer towels.
Almost all of it, yeah.
Okay.
She's got to smell like Sunday morning. Like,
yeah, right.
Lawrence and I, when we wake up on Sunday morning and
perfect gear for the lads, you know,
not about to bang out a newsletter, just fucking bring out the beer towels. All right. So you mentioned upcycling. That was actually one of the trends that I think got a substantial amount of votes in the first annual Fitties Awards as the best trend in 2020, which was encouraging to see. What trends do you think are going to really take off in 2021 in menswear?
I think trends don't exist anymore.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
What didn't you do a kind of your own kind of forecasting trend piece? But the trend was trends, right? Was that what it was? It was like very meta.
Well, okay. So listen, I just wanted to say one more thing. Yesterday I went to the Nanamika store and I think that's also something to pay attention to. Sure. Although I'm sure that like all of your.
Yeah, but
some of us have been paying attention for years, right?
But in terms of like the Japanese pantheon, I think that's a great shout out because they don't get the kind of love that even like people, you know, kind of shower on the North Face purple label or like all of the Nepenthes brands, which obviously like James and I could never shut the fuck up about.
Even though they are the license holders of and exporters of North Face purple label.
Nanamika is. Yes.
Nanamika.
Yes. Nanamika.
Well, I just thought the stuff, it felt really good. It was really cool. They're
like textile guys. They're like
yeah, for sure. Okay, so
the trends are no longer a thing.
People, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but over the past year, people just started making lists of things on Twitter that they thought were trends.
Is that like the wired versus tired kind of thing too? Like
that kind of a thing. I think it came from that, but it was also just like people saying like, oh, now this is happening. Like now Gwyneth Paltrow is cool. Now eating off of a placemat is cool. Now eating from a bowl is not cool. And
it's not even three's a trend. It's just one's a trend.
Well, yeah. So is this symptomatic of the narcissistic culture that comes with social media? Like I'm on Twitter, so like I can just, what I have to say matters. So I can just say that like something is wired versus tired. Or is this like the fact that there's too much information so that like we do need help synthesizing all the things that are being fucking put in front of us, from celebs to fashion? Like, is it both of these things? Like, where do we draw?
I think it's the latter. I think it's people are desperate for there to be like something to make sense of what's going on. It's almost like reading your horoscope. You know, you're like, oh, like later this week, like a big thing is going to happen. Right. And so if someone says to you, you know, like Gwyneth Paltrow, like people have turned around their opinion on Goop. How does that hit you?
Right.
Like maybe you read that and you're like, huh, yeah, actually, it really seems like they have, even though like no one.
I agree. So it's confirmation bias. So we're talking about confirmation bias too. Well, James and I talk about all the time amongst ourselves that the burnout from recommendation culture, specifically because we're in the pandemic, right? Every week it's like, and I think it's fair to say that Opulent Tips is part of it. But at what point do people need to stop begging for recommendation and get recommendations and kind of like just discover things on their own? Because it's this cottage industry that at a certain point just feels like mindless hand-holding over and over again. But like, it also kind of sounds like I want to gatekeep, but I'm not. It's kind of like the personal discovery.
Well, don't you think the problem is that like the same 10 brands get written about and discussed over and over and
That's
over
again? That's a problem. Yeah. So it's like Bottega, like, you know, we don't need Bottega to be recommended.
I mean, Rachel, the best, the
point.
The excerpt of yours that I like the most was when you're like, everything's been boiled down to like, the algorithm, right? Everything on Instagram, fucking fashion is not like fashion isn't, no one's making mistakes. No one's like, sticking out. No one, like nothing is like off. Everything is just like fucking perfectly in place. And you're like, I want a skirt that makes me walk weird or whatever.
Yeah.
Not taking those
Totally.
long strides. And I think that's it, right? Like people are scared to just make mistakes. And it's like, how else do you develop your own personal style besides trial and error?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Like, do you guys remember in like 90s sitcoms, there would always be a joke about a guy wearing something that was quote unquote embarrassing.
That's
like Ross's, like leather.
Yeah, like Ross
gay.
is wearing these pants. And like there was one where like it wasn't just on Friends because it happened on Seinfeld too. Like remember when he buys the suede jacket that's like really expensive and everyone's like, why are you wearing that jacket? And then he gets caught in the rain.
Pirate shirt.
There's a lot of like Seinfeld plot line around like Jerry changing the size on his Levi's because he's so vain and Kramer fucking copying crazy shit. But yes, that was where does that trope come from? Like what was that about? Because to me,
I think it used to be that like I think there was a long period of time where it was like embarrassing for men to make mistakes with clothing. Like that was kind of
to take risks and wear like gay stuff is what we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, and
your
and then
shirt cuff has to be 2 inches past the sleeve.
Right.
Yeah. Now I think that that's definitely changed. But the result is like, I think everyone, remember the like Mary H.K. Choi piece where she was like, everyone dresses cool. Like, why are all the men dressing?
Yeah, that's a classic
now?
Fucking classic.
Men dress well now and I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's still happening and it's a big problem. Like, I would love to be able to not make fun of someone for what they're wearing because I would never do that. But like, feel like, wow, I can't believe they decided to wear that. Like, good for them.
Mm. Well, it's like with everything, especially now peered through your phone screen, it's you want to be theatrical, but you don't want to like mess up.
Yeah.
You want to be part of the spectacle, but you don't want to fucking, do it wrong or wear the wrong shit or wear the wrong brands or whatever.
And I think actually like what you're talking about, James, is like different from bricking a fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can have the right brands and items in place and still just not look right.
Yeah. For sure.
All right, well, let's bring.
We're talking about confidence and comfortability and all these things that, like, a lot of it is like based on who you are and finding out what you, as a specific person, like what is right for you, not just from like how your body is shaped, but even like how you feel. And like reading about the same fucking 5 brands over and over is only pushing people down a path that is never going to end well. You're just going to be like wasting money. But that's why this podcast exists, And
that's why we're going to get into the second topic of this podcast, which is, coincidentally enough, money.
You love to see it.
We're done talking about ourselves. Let's move on to money. Rachel, a big thing now in legacy media and knowing one's worth and debating, entering the Death Star of these like large companies and
salary transparency
and entry level, what is the true cost of living, how much value is placed on the worker bees. It's important to know, Rachel, how much money do you make?
I'm not going to tell you guys that.
Yeah. Right. Can you blame us for trying? I mean, we're going to try,
It was nice that you asked. I knew like as soon as you're like, we're going to talk about money, I was like, oh, that's bold of them. They're going to ask that.
Yeah.
Well, it's so gauche to ask someone how much money they make that it's almost chic. Is my argument.
You could say.
Mm-hmm.
How much money would you like to make though? Like, is there a target number where you're just like, once I hit that, like I'm good?
Well, I guess for where I am in my life right now and what my needs are, I'm about where I need to be.
So you're good. What do you like to spend your money on?
Where's he going?
Lawrence is going to take a little.
I wasn't supposed to.
Lawrence is going to take a little pee-pee.
Comment on that. What do I like to spend my money on?
Besides clothes, which is clearly where the majority of your funds go.
I spend a lot of money on groceries. I do spend money on skincare products.
Are you and your boyfriend still cooking whole fish every Friday?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we cook a lot of elaborate meals at home. And we have like a really nice grocery store situation in our neighborhood. So we buy really fancy cuts of meat and that kind of thing.
Is this because of the pandemic, or has this always been something that
this has always been what we do? Yeah.
Is that because it's like ultimately a creative endeavor?
I think it's a creative endeavor. I think it's also just like, it's a fun kind of, it's a creative challenge, I guess, in a certain way. Like we like to buy cool cookbooks and then sort of, like Julie and Julia our way through them. Horrible movie, actually, I think.
Have not seen.
But a good concept for a blog. Someone should do that. Someone should do that with fashion.
What would they do though? Like whose repertoire, whose entire portfolio would they replicate fit for fit?
Well, I wasn't even thinking about it fit for fit. I was thinking that you buy like the entire like Supreme lookbook or something, and then you wear each outfit for like 365 days.
I mean, Lawrence has been there nearly. I mean, so much of Opulent Tips, and I guess what's so impressive is that you speak with such like authority on a wide range of things, and you're so specific, right? You're like, hey, these are the placemats that I recommend. But if you're feeling a little more like, I don't know, like more Baroque, then you go this way. Or if you want a less expensive option, you go this way. Like, so much of it is around shopping, which is what birthed this newsletter. What is your monthly just total shopping budget on like stuff?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I would say, well, it really varies from month to month. Like the past 2 months have been pretty major because I bought a lot of Christmas gifts. Like I spent like $1,000 on Christmas gifts.
Sheesh.
I know.
Lucky friends and family.
I know, but I wasn't with anyone, so I wanted to get them cool gifts.
You went above and beyond, right? I get it. But on yourself exclusively.
And what is it? Just on clothing or just like?
Well, let's say, clothing. Yeah, because I'm sure home goods and books and stuff. Let's just say clothing, fashion specifically.
I guess it varies so much that I'll just tell you what I've spent in the past, like this year so far. How about that?
Sure. Let's go.
Okay. This year so far, I've spent $2,000.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more than that.
Does that feel more than usual for you, less than usual, or kind of like around normal?
Well, it feels more than usual because I usually don't really buy any new clothes. Like I'll buy things secondhand.
Right. Vintage shop. Right.
Yeah.
Sure. This
was new, for example.
Do you get a lot of free stuff?
No.
Is that because you're writing primarily about men's brands and men's brands don't have anything to send to you?
No, it's because I turn down almost everything. Like really? People now email you and they're like, can you confirm that you are open to receiving?
Yeah.
Really? So is that a new Conde policy, or is that just kind of like your MO?
Well, I think it was inspired by, there was a piece, I believe, on Racked about there being too many free gifts and that they just kind of stack up. Right. And then I think there was some criticism like last year on fashion Instagram, like women's fashion media Instagram, about like, oh, like all these brands say they want to be sustainable, but they're sending us these big bags and boxes of all this stuff.
But it's not about like, yo, how can I take this person's word or recommendation if clearly it's that part of that quid pro quo, scratch my back, I'll fucking throw a John on yours type economy.
I guess that's part of it.
It's about sustainability. Because that's what always kind of like irked me at Complex. It was like everyone's like, yo, 5 best like fucking, I don't know, water bottles. It's like, oh, guess what? Nalgene made it on there because they threw me a water bottle.
Right.
Yeah.
Pay for play.
Yeah. Exactly. But if you like something enough, I mean, like it's a lot of work to write a story, So like if you like someone enough that you would write the story, I also feel like I would wear their clothes. Not always.
Do a fucking IG story post.
Like I've written some things about Kith.
Have there ever been any, have you ever turned down something? Like, what was the best thing you've turned down? I guess is what I want to know.
Kith Bugs Bunny collab.
I haven't turned down. The last thing that I did accept was a Casablanca jacket.
Spicy.
And I was like, I would have bought this. It's really beautiful and it's cool.
And now you don't have to. That's, that's what it's all about.
Now
At least
now you're indebted to Sharif.
They ask me what I do and who I do it for. What do I do is I don't know, but what I do it for is for free fucking Johns, so.
Exactly. Rachel, I don't know if you know this, but they call me Horny Jimmy. That's who I do it for. Which brings us into the third and final topic, meats and cheeks.
Those are the only money questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ghost
pod's
money.
mainly
It's
about us.
icky. It's gross. It's gross.
You didn't want to ask what my rent is or
should we? Do you think people would?
Do I have any student loan debt?
What's your rent? How much in debt are you?
How much is your rent?
Well, I'm not going to get you guys. Can't.
No,
what neighborhood do you live in? With the wonderful grocery stores, what neighborhood do you live in?
Cobble Hill.
What is your address?
Yeah.
Oh, so you have a Trader Joe's? Is that the wonderful fucking grocery store?
No, I've never been to that Trader Joe's.
Why do people love Trader Joe's? I don't get it. Is it cheap?
Yeah.
I don't get it either. So. I think it's because everything has a cute name.
It's cheaper Whole Foods, no?
I think it's, but isn't everything just already packaged and frozen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I haven't been in there since middle school.
Yeah.
All right. Rachel.
I go to a food emporium. Okay. I'm a fucking intellectual.
Key Food. You kidding me? Okay.
I go to Key Food too.
Millions Day, right around the corner. This is coming out after Valentine's Day, so we're not going to ask you what your plans are. But what we are going to ask is for the 18 million, mostly male, mostly virgin and Valentine's Day dateless
and
listeners
mostly
at
impressionable.
Home.
Yeah.
What is an appropriately opulent date night looking like? And this isn't just for Valentine's Day, because opulence shouldn't just be one night a year. It should be maybe not 365, but 100 days out of the year. What's an opulent date?
We want to synthesize opulence and romance.
Yeah.
And that's what we need you for.
Give the young impressionable men at home, some tips, some advice.
I'd be happy to do that. I'm also really hopeful that someone will make a virgin Chad Rachel meme.
Oh, that would be, well, honestly, how about this? For anyone listening, if you want to make there's a virgin version of you and a Chad version of you also. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So
make that meme. You'll get on the subscriber
someone
list. Make
that meme. I don't know. Someone would have to have intimate knowledge of a lot of things about you to be like, oh, these are her most Chad-like qualities and these are her most So how about here's one. Wears grandma's costume jewelry? Virgin.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the starting point. Someone do that and she'll put you on the fucking
works at GQ chat.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So please regale us.
Opulent date night.
Yeah.
Opulent date night. Steak Diane. Well, sorry. Before I even say that, you can't have a romantic meal at a restaurant. You have to eat at home.
Interesting.
You should just don't go to a restaurant, because then it's you have to
oh, we're talking about right now. Sorry. I thought
no. I mean,
I'm
talking in general.
Oh, not even.
If you want to have
Got it.
a romantic Valentine's Day meal, you should not go to a restaurant. And it's not even a thing about it's about convenience and it's about romance.
So let's say, pretend it's not Valentine's Day specifically. It could be just date night. Would that be acceptable then to go to a good restaurant if it's not a fucking normie holiday? The SantaCon of
this is
love and affection.
This is date night.
I can't think of a restaurant that, I mean, look, if you're several dates in, yeah, you should go to a restaurant. But one of the first couple dates, you should make a meal at her house or make a meal at your house.
I like
Fellas,
that.
1, wipe down the toilet. 2,
clean your place.
Vacuum. 3, invite her over for a romantic dinner. Yeah. What are we cooking? What's the vibe? What's the music? What's the fit? Walk us through all of it.
She's going to say, can we please meet in public? I would feel more comfortable. That's the response you're going to get. But but pretend, state 3.
So pretend she doesn't say that. You should make Steak Diane, which is
after
filet mignon
princess?
with a little, after my favorite princess, filet mignon with a little Dijon sauce.
Okay.
You should make baked potatoes and then just a green salad with parsley and chives cut on top of the salad, salt and pepper and olive oil.
We're talking about fully loaded baked potato.
It sounds like a fucking 1970s New England
there you go.
All right, all right. Are we doing candles? We doing dim the lighting? My Zoom score right now? What are we doing?
Yeah, you can do candles if you want to. Like you should do what feels comfortable. So if candles feel like overkill for you, that's totally fine. Also, don't do like a scented candle on the table. Like don't take a diptyque and be like, look at me. Like don't do that.
Yeah.
So
what's the music?
This steak Diane tastes like Santal 33.
Yeah, exactly. So the music should be a mixture of Brazilian pop music and the Rolling Stones.
Hell yeah. That's cool. I'm with that. That's a vibe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't overdress. Just wear like a t-shirt and like jeans. Don't overdress.
Should you wear an apron that says Chef Daddy?
Of course.
All right.
You know the one I really like is Kiss the Cook.
Kiss the Cook.
That's a good one.
It's good.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Or
Classic.
you should wear the one that's the David.
Yep, exactly. And then you can make a joke.
The small penis.
Make a joke about your penis, and then that ladders up to a joke later when you serve the fully loaded stuffed baked potato. You know, you're just kind of like you want to set yourself up for success, guys.
What are we doing anything? Are we doing anything for dessert, or is it just pussy?
So for dessert, you should buy a bar of chocolate, not Hershey's chocolate.
All right.
Yeah. Who fucking Hershey's chocolate? Talk about serial killer behavior. God, who eats a Hershey's for s'mores exclusively, not like to be chomped on? I want to double back up to Brazilian jazz. That feels like a good vibe for the outro music to the pod. Is there a specific artist or song that we can throw on there for the kids at home to check out to catch one of those vibras that we've been talking about?
Yeah. I mean, this is like the most famous one, but Astrid Gilberto is just totally amazing.
Awesome. Love that. All right. I'm making a note of it.
Word.
Right now. Thank you, Rachel.
All right. I think that wraps up Meats and Cheeks. Normally we'd go into 60 seconds of thirst here, but Chuck, after 2 hours of listening to some dynamic back and forth, he wrote here, I don't have a question.
Yeah. That's I'm honestly surprised.
So
yeah. And while Chuck doesn't have a question, which is disappointing and sad. And yeah, I'm not mad.
Why doesn't he have a question?
Yeah, Chuck,
why don't you have a question? That's our question for you.
Yeah.
I thought of a question, but I just didn't think it was good enough to ask.
Well, why don't let her be the judge of that?
Okay. The question was, if there was a movie about corporate lunch, what actors would play who?
That's a great question. That's better than any of the questions you guys have asked.
I know, Chuck, I might give you one of my Pulitzers.
Maybe like a certain men's magazine doesn't want to write about a kind of competitor in the male media space. Maybe we didn't want to talk about another podcast, Chuck. Maybe that's...
You have a podcast?
Yeah. Would you do a pod, Rachel?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So who's playing Rachel? Who's playing... Who else is on this podcast?
Yeah, to explain what is the podcast?
Who's playing Will Welch?
Wow. Maybe
I think Troy Sylvan should play Sam Hine.
Yeah.
I was going to say Ella Emhoff should play Sam.
Wow.
Oh, yes.
They both have sexy mullets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's
Noah Johnson?
Casper the Ghost.
Yeah.
Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Ron Howard makes his return to acting to play Noah Johnson.
Fucking the cartoon character from Mad Magazine.
I think it would have to be Keanu.
Oh, what? Well, that seems
no.
Keanu was playing James in his cameo when
can't
Noah
have a non-white play a white. Have you not learned anything from 2020?
Yeah. Yeah, true.
But Keanu would never be able to match the delivery style.
Probably not. I mean, maybe, I don't know. He's a great actor, but he is pretty one note.
Yeah.
And then who's playing yourself?
Yeah. Who's playing you?
Gwyneth?
I was gonna maybe Carrie Mulligan or Drew Barrymore. No, not Drew Barrymore.
I think Carrie. I don't think Drew Barrymore. What does Drew Barrymore do? She hosts a talk show now, right?
She has a podcast now.
She has a podcast.
This could be her big comeback.
They could be like a John Travolta in Pulp Fiction type deal.
Yeah.
All right, Chuck. Chuck, that was a good question, Chuck. Thank you. And we normally have another Grom here, but it's pitch season, so he can't be with us. So, Lawrence, I believe you're going to ask something on behalf of our guy, Chef.
So Rachel, our producer, Chef Sham, is not here today, but he specifically wanted me to tell you that he would, or ask you rather, could he be added to Opulent Tips? And he specifically was like, yo, don't give her my email on mic or anything. So I'm not going to say that his email is .com. That's .com. I wouldn't do that, but if you could throw him on there, he would really appreciate it. So that's his 30 seconds of thirst.
Sure.
Cool.
That's all it
There
takes.
you're welcome, chef. Fucking.
And if anyone wants to know how to get on the subscription list, invite Rachel on, podcast with her for 2 hours, and then ask. You don't even have to put the podcast episode out.
Easy.
Rachel, she's nodding enthusiastically for those of you listening home.
She looks like she's being held hostage, but she can leave the Zoom at any time.
Blink twice if you're okay. Rachel, you are a enthusiastic shopper, potentially the most enthusiastic. So obviously, and also you don't accept a lot of free stuff. So this next little game is perfect for you. Last John, next John. We want to know, what was the last John you copped at full retail, obviously, and then what's the next John that you got your eye on, maybe when it's payday. First up, last John. What was the last John you purchased? Was it this dress?
Yeah, so I got this dress yesterday, but it was deeply on sale.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
And then what's the next John? What do you got your eye on? What do you got your fucking sniper scope set on that you're about to blow its brains out and add it to the closet?
Confirm the kill.
Headshot.
I think I really want a suit.
Ooh,
I really want a corduroy suit.
You should go fully made to measure. You should do the whole fucking damn thing and document it for content. James and I have the jump on you. We've already started doing this.
I haven't started doing this already.
I know, but you should.
But I'm actually thinking about, like, it would be kind of, this is interesting that you're saying this, Lawrence, because I was thinking it would be really fun to save up like a lot of money. And then by the time, like whatever amount of money I have, by the time that we can travel again, then I would go to London, get a suit made. I mean, that would be really fun.
Yeah, that's very cool. And when you ultimately turn it into content, you should accuse us of biting your shit, even though
color wise, what kind of family we talk about? We go in like earthy, dusty pastels. We go in fucking classic, navies and grays. And what are we doing?
And is it a Wes Anderson vibe? Is it like some crazy big lapel,
like a
70s
professor,
juxtaposition,
some Diane Keaton shit?
I think the vibe is Katharine Hepburn, so not quite as like geeky as Diane Keaton, but like
you don't want to go full manic pixie dream girl.
Right, exactly. I mean, I do have to tell you, I was very inspired by Fran Lebowitz's jackets. I mean, I always have been, but
Anderson and Shepard, right?
Anderson and Shepard.
Is that where you would want to go? Is that kind of when you're thinking of Savile Row, you're like, yo, I'm going there versus like,
I think so. Probably. I mean, that's the coolest place, right? It's like,
I think so.
It's the one with the most kind of like zany intellectual appeal.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the more fashiony option would be like E-Touts, right, with Patrick Grant, and then you have the young, like super young approach, like go Drakes, right? They're obviously there now too. But I think that, I mean that it's manic pixie dream grown ass woman. That's what we're doing.
Right.
Perfect. Got it.
Rachel, you're obviously a huge arbiter of taste. Your taste level, or everyone's taste level, is at your waist level. Your shit is opulent as fuck. So we want to know what you're fucking with, what you're not fucking with in the segment we call Fuck With Not Fuck With.
Working title.
Still a working title. What music are you fucking with right now?
Well, not to like plug my family, but my brother just put out a new album. So I'm listening to that a lot.
Slappers, bangers. Yeah,
all slappers and bangers.
Is he a rapper?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is a SoundCloud rapper. So I'm listening to his album a lot.
Oh, would you rather your brother be the outro music to get him some fucking or would he sue us?
Do that. I can ask his manager.
No, we're just going to steal it off like YouTube or whatever. But what would be we'll play a snippet. What's like the number one jam that you would like to introduce the 18 million listeners of the only podcast that matters to your brother? What
Well, song? the hit song of the album is called Up All Night, and it's like it's really popular in Sweden.
Is that cocaine?
Sick.
Yeah. Yes. Swedish people really like my brother. Like, he's extremely famous.
No, and Swedish people have great taste.
Yo, and Swedish people love throwing fits, weirdly.
Yes, we're very, honestly, the people that are streaming the shit out of your brother's record in Scandinavia are also banging this fucking podcast. So that's
they're like, we don't want kinfolk anymore. We got to get something much better.
Yeah. We're killing two birds with one stone here. What other music are you fucking with?
Let's see. I listen to a lot of classical music, which is totally boring. I listen to a ton of jazz music.
Not just Brazilian jazz.
Yeah,
Brazilian
but I've been listening to a lot of Ornette Coleman. Obviously, I listen to Pharoah Sanders, but it's like everyone's listening to Pharoah Sanders right now.
Yeah, he was. Yes, thanks, Supreme.
Yeah. Any music you're not fucking with right now?
Yeah. Any popular stuff that you're not into?
Cardi?
You know what I listened to today that was like probably the worst thing I've ever heard was Greta Van Fleet.
Oh, why?
Well, because I don't know, someone I follow like tweeted a review of the new single, and I was like, I've actually never listened to this, and I turned it on, and I was like, this is parody music.
But they were like a big that was like a peak performance Pitchfork bullshit. But
yeah,
I didn't know they were even still making music.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, they are.
All right, so not fucking with Greta Van Fleet. Anyone else want to?
I'm not buying the Eve 6 Twitter.
Oh, yeah, that's like so annoying. But honestly, dude, fucking bangers.
Bangers.
People don't know about this. The second record, dude, Never God's Due Horoscope. It's fucking there's slaps on there. So just saying.
Well, currently, Hoobastank is ruling the TikTok airwaves. So,
did you just say TikTok?
TikTok. I'm not on TikTok anymore. Banned.
Yeah. Thankfully.
Shadow ban. God damn it. What about film and TV, Rachel? I feel like this is something that people like. Someone was asking you favorite fashion films. So what film and TV are you fucking with right now?
Well, I don't really watch very much TV. So
do you own a TV?
No. So I think like anything that I've seen, I'm like, this is the greatest show of all time. So like I'm watching Search Party right now, and
what season? What season?
3.
4. Well, no, I've watched the whole thing.
Oh,
so
right. It's 4 on HBO. Got it.
Yeah. So now I'm like watching. I'm halfway through the
very underrated show.
It's having its moment now.
Show.
It's having its moment now. I'm on season 2 right now.
The first season was really spectacular, and the second and third season were like
you guys are boys. You guys are boys with Brad Pitt. Do you think him and what's her name were dating?
No, I think they were just making pottery together.
Okay. Not like ghost style,
which is in a euphemism. That means they were literally making.
Yeah, I think they were literally making pottery together.
Okay. Anything else that you're pouring into your eyeballs?
Well, I just rewatched the movie After Hours, which is a Martin Scorsese movie.
You and me both, dude. How good that it's
so good.
It's the best movie about a dude trying to get pussy ever. 100%.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And it's probably, here's a question. I was thinking about that. Cause I too watched After Hours recently, and it's so funny and so good and frustrating. It's like a Safdie Bros before kind of, but with a much better sense of humor, obviously. Is that the best movie ever that takes place in Soho in Manhattan? What are Big is in Soho, right? Like when he has the law.
Big Daddy is in Soho.
Big Daddy's in Soho. So is there a better Soho movie than After Hours? And I could not think of one.
Actually though, Lawrence, what's really crazy is like the majority of that movie takes place on Clout Alley.
Oh, right. Where
where opening ceremony and
the Clout Corridor. Corridor, James went to college for geography. We would like to respect him as a professional. Yeah, it is. Yes, right by V-Files, Nike
Palace.
Yeah, which is kind of telling in a way. I mean, the movie has great fucking. I mean, it's such a time capsule, but the fits are pretty fucking good. I love it.
Yeah. So what else is a really good Soho movie is although it's mostly in the East Village, but Desperately Seeking Susan.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sure.
Also has some Soho moments, and also Single White Female has some good Soho scenes, even though it's primarily Upper West Side.
Huh. Okay, well, there you go. Now, if anyone wants to fucking pretend like you live in the big bad city, just fucking watch all those movies. And
anything you're not fucking with, Rachel, or is it not even like, since you watch so little film and TV, it's just like you only watch what you like?
I watch a lot of movies.
Okay, what movies suck?
A ton of movies.
All of them.
Mank is ass.
No, Mank was good, dude.
I liked Mank. Yeah,
I watched 10 minutes of it, and I was like, I fell asleep.
No, it's about a fucking
Tenet. You fuck with Tenet? You fuck with Tenet?
I didn't watch that. I guess I would just say like all television is really bad, and anyone who's like
Well, you haven't watched Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, so I don't think you can.
Reality television is like the biggest waste of time.
Really?
Okay. Thank you, Rachel, for coming on the only podcast that matters.
Wait, you would hold
reality television started the horrible trend of people overthinking popular culture to the detriment of thinking about anything else.
You don't think we've gotten past that though, where I would agree to a point with like Kardashians. And the great quote in the New York Times Magazine: "If you think the Kardashians are a cultural figure, then you like cause."
Yeah, that was good. That was a great
really
diss. What did
you don't think we're past that down? Like we're a little more self-aware, and it's just like the people that are on this shit know that they're making fucking ass clowns of themselves, and they're there for us to laugh at.
Well, I don't really know because I've seen some of the Kardashians. I'm thinking more about like cultural criticism and like writing
but also to James's point, right? At a certain point, whether or not like you are debating like this level of art form, it's like Raptors have learned how to open door scenarios. The people on these shows are so self-aware that like it's actually pretty easy to I would say, Rachel, to separate good reality, which still exists mainly on Bravo, and then obviously everything else, which is a fucking piece of shit. But what about elite dramatic television? Like, do you care about that? Like prestige TV? Like, I don't know, Queen's Gambit level shit. Does that interest you?
Well, related. Like, what about period pieces and like the costuming of it? The Great was an awesome, hilarious Hulu show that you Bridgerton.
I know. I think I probably would have liked The Great, but Bridgerton, like, first of all, the costumes like don't look very good to me. Like if you watch Barry Lyndon,
literally watch.
Yeah, I know exactly. Like if you actually watch like cool period dramas, then like the Bridgerton costumes are not super interesting.
All right. Well, all this criticism flying around, Rachel. I think it's time that we offer up some constructive criticism. Important distinction there. To yourself. We foist it upon our guest at the end of every episode. And who better than to offer up constructive criticism to than the queen of criticism herself, and not criticism in a negative way, like as a critic, right? Take it or leave it. I'll go first. Opulent Tips is fucking hotter than 10-cent pussy right now. The runway, the world is your oyster. Obviously we have a lot of hindsight. And when we look back at the mistakes that modern day media has made, I would say cherry pick the best parts of the media days of yore with Opulent Tips and give yourself a black car, give yourself a wardrobe budget. Just do everything you need to do until you become a bloated media dinosaur. And then you have to cut every corner possible and move to New Jersey.
Brilliant.
Okay. Speaking of brilliance.
That's a take. All right.
Speaking of brilliance, Rachel, try this one on for size, right? Okay. Just based on what James said, we can all agree. Opulent Tips, whether you want to go in that direction or keep it small to a crowd of about 200, it is a media entity to some degree, right? We can agree on that. Throwing Fits, we can also agree, is a brand, and we should get in bed together and do some traditional SpawnCon through your newsletter. I think that would be really cool.
So what do you want to do?
I think that we pay you to write a puff piece, basically talking about how we are indeed the only podcast that matters. Something like that. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. We can figure that out. I mean, I guess it would just be like, how much is it going to cost to get that done?
Yeah, probably like a couple $100,000.
$100,000. We can make that work, honestly.
Patreon.
Yeah.
All right. Rachel, I want to take it to your day job for a second. You mentioned, and I think it's a point that Lawrence and I have been stuck on for a minute here, that Throwing Fits has been biting GQ shit. And look, obviously GQ is the Bible of American men's fashion. That cannot be disputed. I think that if Lawrence and I are about anything, it's about self-improvement and always kind of, pushing ourselves to level up. So I guess help us bite GQ shit better.
Maybe you should try posting what we're going to recommend before we get a chance to recommend it.
Right.
All right.
I guess we'll have to find that 68th pair of touch tech gloves.
Or podcast loafers.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Finally, the final piece of constructive criticism, Rachel, and then we'll get you into the afters and on with your life where you can regret everything that you've said up until this point.
Every choice that's led you to this moment right here.
I mean, I just got to assume that you know, there's a possibility that you coming on this podcast for a second time was the worst step of your career. And maybe you have some free time on your hands, professionally speaking. Maybe you want to come over and work with us and guest edit our newsletter. Since you're the queen of newsletters, you might have a lot more time if you're not gainfully employed. Just a thought. I don't know. But the offer is always available to you. We will pay for that as well, because we know that you don't like us that much.
You can get the Chuck rate.
Yeah. You want to make a couple $100 a month? You know who to call. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
All right, take it or leave it, Rachel. It's all on the table. It's all optional. But thank you truly for coming on the only podcast that matters and giving us some time out of your schedule. Is there anything before we get you into the afters? Where can the kids follow you on social media? Who and what would you like to plug? How should we subscribe to Opulent Tips? Yes. The mic is yours.
The floor is yours.
You can follow me at The Prophet Pizza on Instagram and Twitter. And good luck subscribing to Opulent Tips.
Stream your brother's record, right?
Yes, stream my brother's record.
Yeah.
Read GQ.com.
Yep. Which
subscribe
in
to GQ.
All seriousness is like just, I don't know, not probably like V-Best doing it. You know, this.
Yeah.
And if you think you're too cool to read GQ.com specifically, you're not too cool to read Rachel's columns. So don't think you're fucking hot shit.
Just bookmark her author page. That's all you got to do.
That's all you got to do. Make that your homepage. Honestly, make that fucking the byline kind of aggregator page. Make that your homepage.
I want all 18
and
million
refresh
listeners
that
at
shit
home.
every day.
I don't know what metrics GQ uses to measure success, but I want all 18 million listeners at home to queue up every single one of our articles, refresh that shit 10 times. Yeah. That's 10 unique visits, right?
Yes.
In an incognito window.
Right.
And let's get her a fucking raise. Let's make her EIC. Let's make her chief content officer.
Save Rachel. This is hashtag save Rachel's job. Now her future is in our hands. The Throw Gang. And
we need hashtag TF Anon to come through.
Exactly.
And
we need to toss some clicks this wonderful woman's way. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Pleasure as always.
Hit that motherfucking Brothers music, baby.
Saved up all my money and blew all of my money, 'cause I really don't care. I really don't care. Staying up all night, it could be good or it could be bad for you. It's gonna be alright, or it won't be. Broke up with my boyfriend to go out with my girlfriend, 'cause love is like that. 'Cause love